Welcome to tonight's special presentation featuring, for the first time ever, a sponsor. You know, we've had problems finding sponsors in the past.
Yeah, you've had some serious-ass sponsor-finding problems.
Well, not anymore. Tonight, Dyer's Place is being sponsored by the Precious Roy Home Shopping Network for all the best quality products, including, but not limited to, Lice Monkeys, Civil War Corpses, Miracle Dirt, Pirate Cripplers, Sasquatch Feeders, and Squirrel Zappers. Make sure you're shopping on Precious Roy's Home Shopping Network. And now, here's Precious Roy.
This is Precious Roy, and you kids better pay for that lap dance.
Precious, what about the stream?
You guys are suckers!
Precious Roy, making lots of suckers out of girls and boys.
And thank you to our sponsor, Precious Roy's Home Shopping Network. And welcome everybody to what is going to be a very crescent fresh stream. And with me is Mike.
Hey everyone. How's it going? My terrible Chester impression, but yeah.
Yeah. And special guest tonight is Snarb.
Hoi hoi.
Help.
Indeed.
So, we are talking tonight about one of the greatest cult classic TV shows ever.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that label. I admit this one might be a little bit more for us than other topics we've done before. Maybe a little indulgent even, but I mean, I do love the show. It's kind of a childhood classic growing up. But if no one in the audience, if we have anyone in the audience doesn't know who the hell Sifl Olly is, we're hoping we can at least convince you.
Well, if you remember
to give it a check.
If you remember at the end of the Super NES stream when we mentioned we were going to be doing Sifl and Olly next, it was like basically a blank audio stare because no one else on the stream knew what the hell we were talking about.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we might actually get nobody for this one. Not that I'm just glad to discuss this show under any terms, but I'm just saying I understand if we don't get as big numbers for this one.
Jay's here
as
and
standard.
And hello, and I will say, Mike, that is actually true to form. They basically run a Z-grade variety show, music variety show. So that's, if we don't get that many people, that's pretty true to the spirit of the show. It's a very low budget Z-grade, so.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But it's intentional.
Exactly.
It is very deliberately crappy in its style and all the more fun for it.
Oh, thanks, Jay. I appreciate that.
Yes, definitely. We're saying that we're probably not going to get big numbers for this one, and we fully understand that, but screw it. I just want to talk Sifl and Olly.
You should definitely watch the replay when you get a chance and check out the links I posted in the video description if you want to see what this show is all about. So, yeah, the Sifl and Olly Show. All right, a little background. Well, Sifl and Olly was created by Liam Lynch and Matt Croco. If I'm pronouncing that right, I don't know. And they originally got their start back in 95, 96, something like that, on MTV Europe.
Oh, Europe?
Yeah, they used to they did these little brief skits that were basically ident bumpers for MTV.
Cool.
MTV US actually passed on Sifl and Olly originally.
No, of course they did.
But those little idents proved to be so popular among the European audience that MTV USA came to their senses and basically offered them a show deal. And it started airing in 97, but then unfortunately was canceled in 1999.
Yeah, that was around the time I think MTV was starting to go downhill in general, but like that's probably its own other subject. I probably shouldn't linger on it.
Well, I'm just gonna say
Yeah, that was.
that was the last great show they had. I think.
Probably. I'm trying to think what else would have been like, Mission Hill didn't run on there, didn't I don't think it did.
No,
No.
I forget which channel that ran on, but that was kind of this is kind of one of those shows that's kind of like the last gasp of the 90s and like, 90s MTV, because this was also around the time I think that Liquid Television went off the air basically. It might have been closer to the mid 90s, but still.
Yeah, Liquid
Somewhere
Television.
thereabouts.
Liquid Television was running back in '93. I remember that distinctly because you used to stay up until 2 in the morning and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing Sifl Olly has in common with Liquid Television is that they're both very, very surreal humor. It's like Liquid Television had Dog Boy. Sifl Olly had Calls from the Public. So, used to catch Sifl Olly, though, whenever I'd be hanging out with my friend Andre, who they had cable, I did not. And whenever it would come on, because originally it aired late night, like Liquid Television, and then they moved it to more prime time. So that's when I started to get to see it. So, what about you guys? How did you first encounter Sifl Olly?
Kind of the same way, truthfully. It just, I was around that prime age to be watching MTV, in my early to mid-teens. And I think I don't know if I saw a preview for it or commercial for it, and I'm like, I have to see this. It just looks absurd. And sure enough, it was. I somehow caught the very first episode. That's the very first episode I remember, hence the Space Asparagus, who shows up as part of a skit where they send some unfortunate explorers or unfortunate fans to the moon. The rest, as they say, is history.
Help.
That muted help. I laughed for like a good solid few minutes after that, and I knew this was the show to watch. So.
And it's also funny too because for the longest time, I mean, he still exists. I have a sock puppet myself. See, but the show is primarily made up of sock puppets and dolls. So, or an occasional mannequin hands, but
yes, yeah. If I had to describe it, it's basically Gen X, the Muppet Show.
Exactly. That's the best description of the show I've ever heard.
That's excellent. That's nail on the fucking head. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I had this sock puppet named Sucko, who, yes,
Good old Sucko.
I named him after a sock puppet on Beavis and Butthead.
Oh yeah. That was like that Christian guy.
Yeah.
Who organized the walkathon and such.
Yeah, and he called the sock puppet Socko, but when Butthead got a hold of him, he's sitting there on the couch at one point, got the sock puppet on, scratch my butt, Sucko. No. And I just thought that Sucko would have worked so well on Sifl Olly.
Yeah, pretty fitting.
Oh. But what about you, Mike? Where did you first encounter Sifl Olly?
Well, I mean, I grew up watching a lot of MTV throughout the 90s, maybe at times a little bit more than I should have, because I guess some of its content was inappropriate. I mean, I was watching Beavis and Butthead since I was 4, and in retrospect, maybe that was a bad idea, but, that's a pretty, centered, staple childhood cornerstone. And looking at the dates here, I realized that Sifl Olly actually debuted not too long after Beavis and Butthead actually ended. The alleged final episode, which became not final as more was made more recently, Beavis and Butthead are dead, as I recall. Yeah. And,
Here lies Beavis. He never scored.
I guess, Sifl and Olly was like another comedy duo show, and they do have a somewhat similar dynamic going on. So I guess, like, subconsciously, my mind felt that they'd be a fair replacement. Of course, Sifl and Olly's brand of insanity is very different from B and BH. That's not really a fair comparison at all, but I just liked the look of it, too. It just looked... I mean, I would have been like... Oh, Jesus, like, fucking 9 or so at the time, so I guess maybe I thought the show looked like it'd be relatively cutesy entertainment for my age, and oh boy, it was probably a lot more adult than it should have been me watching, but I still found it very funny. I found their songs very catchy. I just took to it pretty darn quickly. Like, the look sucked me in, but then just, like, the absurd humor, which I was beginning to understand what good humor was at the time. I guess it was actually kind of formative in a way. I remember annoying my mom shouting, "Suckers!" out of nowhere every now and again, which I took fair glee in. But, it was just the right time for me, always having liked MTV for its videos and some of its original programming. I mean, I did also watch some Liquid Television alongside Beavis and Butthead. Like, they had some actual legitimate good programs. Like, of course, as I mentioned, Daria, and I'm not sure how much of The State I saw, but, that was pretty great from what I remember.
I'm going to say,
okay,
for the record, I first saw The State on the very short-lived MTV show You Wrote It, You Watch It.
Wow, I don't even remember that one.
Yeah, that's how long it ran for. And get this, Jon Stewart hosted that show.
Jesus, what a pedigree. That's impressive.
Basically, the whole idea was they encourage viewers to write in with stuff, pertaining to the theme of the episode, and then the state would act out what they wrote in.
That's pretty fucking cool. Nice. I knew that.
I do have to digress for a minute here and just talk about my favorite ever sketch from that.
Yeah, go ahead.
It was from their Dream episode. And they were interviewing this guy. Apparently he didn't write in, but they interviewed him. He's like, yeah, I keep having this recurring dream where I'm in the supermarket and I'm being followed by some guy. I'm not sure. Oh, wait, it's the lead singer of the B-52s. And they took that and they ran with it.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
Oh, it's great. At one point, he's actually, dude's following him everywhere. At one point, he's actually in a bathroom stall. And he hears noise next to him, looks down underneath the wall, and sees the B-52 guy's feet just dancing around, and he's going, "Everybody's taking a poo-poo." So, yeah. But, yeah, that was... I wasn't crazy when MTV stopped, running as many videos as they did. But, we still had 120 minutes in Headbangers Ball, so...
Yeah. I mean, like I said, they did have some legit good programming. Like, I liked The Head, although that one was really fucking weird.
The Head was
from
weird.
what I remember.
Yes.
And I didn't watch nearly enough Aeon Flux. I probably should have. That's one to catch up on. That was also weird from what I remember. Yes.
I remember more of the Liquid Television Aeon Flux than the series.
Yeah, I remember it actually debuted on there. I vaguely remember Cartoon Sushi as well.
I was going to ask. Yeah, I was going to ask if anyone else remembered that one.
I remember the logo. I'm a little more rusty on what... Oh, hey, they ran something by Mo Willems. I'll be damned. Well, we're probably not going to do a Sheep in the Big City podcast anytime soon, but...
Doubtful.
And, of course, Daria, the more intelligent counterpart to Beavis and Butthead, although it really kind of took on its own life, and that's just a darn good show.
You know what I watched that show for? Besides...
White 4.
Well, besides Daria and her, just acid wit.
Yes, good way of putting it.
Jane's
great.
She is. She's just hysterical.
Yes, she they have such a good rapport with each other. It's been so long since I've seen Daria, but feel like I should refresh my memory on that one too. So, yeah, MTV actually did have some good non-music shit, although it's like they still had like music of the era being licensed, being played in these shows.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was one show that I watched a lot that I know is bad. I don't know why I did it so much. I probably watch more Celebrity Deathmatch than I should.
Hey, Celebrity Deathmatch.
I mean, I did too.
Great.
Okay.
To be fair,
okay,
I watched a lot of it too.
Okay, so no shame then. All right. Okay.
Nope.
Just
Now,
want to be on the level.
if you'd
I'm
said-
sure it doesn't hold up as well today, but if I liked it for the time, it was what it was.
If you had said like The Real World or something like that, then you would have been shamed.
Yes, band. I actually found out the fucking Real World started in '92. Really? I thought it started much later.
Unfortunately, yes. Every time it came on MTV, when my friends and I were in the apartment, we changed the channel.
Did one of you guys say, change it, like Beavis would have?
No, it was just, that look they get when they see something that they just can't believe, and then just
Yes.
change. That was us.
Yeah, when Butthead just quietly looks over to Beavis, and I remember they did that for I want to say Vanilla Ice. They just said absolutely nothing for a minute and then changed it.
I think it was Milli Vanilli, actually.
Oh, Millie, no. Well, it was Vanilla something, yes.
Vanilla, whatever.
Exactly, yes.
But yeah, it's like they had a constant stream of decent programming throughout the 90s if you take out the garbage.
Absolutely. And then, unfortunately, it did horribly collapse. Not only did the shows get shittier, but then they didn't even run the fucking music videos at all. I don't really know what the exact death of that was, but I'm sure Rob would care to opine. He might have a better idea of what killed it.
Jackass, maybe?
Yeah, that's a partial reason, maybe. I would say...
I'm not going to lie, I was also a fan of Jackass back then.
Shame on both of you.
Oh, well.
No,
I'll go into my judgment hole, I guess.
I would say it's probably because they decided there was more money in doing original programming than playing music videos.
Then that turned a lot more to, as many TV station and networks did, they especially liked reality programming because low effort yield for high profit. They didn't have to put much into it. They just let humans be trash fires, and that was like the big fucking thing throughout the 2000s. And hey, Snarb, you want to have a digression on our 2000s culture vacuum discourse?
That's a subject that we could dedicate to an entire stream, but I forget, did the 2000s give us Here Comes Honey Boo Boo? Because if so, then yes, it's officially the worst decade.
Probably.
Actually, you know what? That might have been the 2010s. Let me see.
I think you're right, actually. So that would also make the 2010s pretty bad as well.
Hello,
yeah,
Sharon.
it started on 2012. Yes, and hey there, Sharon. What's up?
Yes. Okay. Well, still, there was a lot of really bad. If it wasn't hoorah militarism or military style stuff, it was always, pretty much reality television.
Yeah, the trashiest trash that one could ever. So I didn't even. I don't even remember what reality show was like the big fucking thing back in the day.
I don't care.
Also, hey Sharon.
I don't want to remember. In fact, I've probably spent way too much on this sidebar as it is.
Yes.
The point is, Sifl and Olly for us, I think we would say, was kind of like something of a swan song of a certain type and vibe of entertainment that unfortunately wouldn't be around in the public eye much longer, but we were glad to savor its craziness while it was what it was.
When it went off, I turned off MTV pretty much for good.
Yeah, I think
I don't blame you.
I think at that point there wasn't really much reason. Oh wow, I forgot Tom Green got his own fucking show on the thing.
Oh yeah, that was definitely. I watched a lot of that too. To be fair, sometimes you just watch those shows because other kids were watching it. Other people at your school were watching it, or just because it was something new and some of Tom Green could be funny sometimes. The problem was that you can only really take maybe a thimbleful of Tom Green before everything gets goes. You're just
Hey,
oversaturated, basically.
Yeah.
Hey, Chibi.
Yeah.
how's it going?
Hey Kyle, how's it going?
Yeah.
Now
is your chance to learn about Sifl and Olly.
Yes, we'll be glad to give an education on one of what I'm calling one of our more indulgent podcasts, but we just kind of reminisced about the state of MTV back in the day and where it fell off a cliff. And Sifl and Olly arguably was that cliff. Maybe the show was just so great that they just couldn't live up to it, and that's why they took the sea change that they did. I don't know.
This world was never meant for something as great as Sifl and Olly.
No. Well, not for too long, anyway.
Although, just to finish off your sidebar there about the Tom Green show, I remember seeing a couple episodes, but I couldn't tell you a damn thing about him. The only thing I remember that had anything to do with Tom Green was that movie he did. Which
Freddy Got Fingered.
Oh, God.
Betty absolutely hates that movie. I don't remember much about it except for one bit, which I actually...
Daddy, would you like some sausage?
That's the bit.
That's the bit I remember from the fucking commercials. I never saw the movie itself, but...
that was actually really funny.
Okay. The thing of it is, I'm hearing Freddy Got Fingered nowadays is actually kind of a beloved cult film. Like, I actually see a lot of good things said about it. Maybe I actually have to watch it someday. I don't know. Some things... Wonder Chosen actually was good. Really horrible sometimes, but also good. And, hey, Mo, how's it going?
Hey, Mo. Mm-hmm.
And, Kyle, I was also saying how it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure, but I did like Jackass quite a bit for the time as well. I mean, funny enough, that's racist! Funny enough, I mean, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 just came out. I'm really enjoying that, and I was a huge Tony Hawk fan, and somehow the culture crossbreed between THPS and Jackass just kind of naturally happened somehow. Because... what?
I wanted to say, on a related note to what we're actually talking about here.
They were so good, yes.
No. What happened was... now, only the diehards would know this, is that there was an unaired third season of Sifl and Olly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. After MTV pulled the plug after season 2, they promised they'd release the unaired season 3 episodes, and it took them forever, but it finally happened. But, here's the part that I'm talking about. In season 3, let me find it. I just want to make sure I have the right thing. Okay, let's see. Where? Come on, I've seen it here. I believe what happens is that Ollie met Tony Hawk.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Wow.
Yep, right here. Ollie meets Tony Hawk. What do you want to bet? But it opens up with an interview time. So what do you want to bet Tony Hawk isn't actually there?
Yeah, probably.
Almost 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now let's discuss the business at hand here. Sifl and Olly.
Oh yes, it is what this podcast is about. That I took in a totally different direction.
Yes, thank you, Mike. So all I can say right now is rock.
Rock, yes.
I like how the rock is on fire.
Oh yeah, Kyle, we were talking about the steak before we walked in. Yes, really good one.
Plus the relatively forgotten show they were a part of before that, which was You Wrote It, You Watch It.
Yeah, I gotta track that down then.
Starring a very young Jon Stewart.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. That's awesome.
So, Sifl and Olly. Snarb, I believe you put it pretty well as the Muppet Show for Gen X.
Yes. I was trying to think of how to describe this. It's like if I had to pitch this to someone to get them to watch it, it's like, well, it's a music variety show. I suspect there was some meddling there because they had the rock facts and some other music theme stuff. And I know the creators of the show probably love music because all of the musical, interludes and parodies and covers, they have so much genuine energy and enthusiasm for it that you can tell that when they parody something,
They do. And it's interesting because both Liam Lynch and Matt Croco are musicians.
Exactly.
I didn't know that, actually.
Daria. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, too.
I knew Liam Lynch directed some music videos for the time.
He did.
Yes. Can't remember which ones, but he did.
But going back on the whole Muppet Show angle, of course, there was a succession of interesting characters which were recurring.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see.
I mean, before we get into the characters in question, maybe we should mention a little bit about Sifl and Olly themselves. If they're
I think that's actually a good idea.
Yes. So Sifl is sort of the brains of the two. He's kind of the more relatively level-headed and arguably maybe like the more cynical one. He's usually the one who's like, dude, this is stupid. Let's just bail.
Yeah.
Sort of attitude to things. And Ollie's the more crazy, hyperactive one who tends to get lost in his own fantasy land tangents, so to speak.
So
it is sort of like Beavis and Butthead-esque dynamic with Sifl and Butthead and Ollie as Beavis. Like, certainly not one-to-one, and, occasionally they do kind of switch roles. Sifl gets involved in some indulgences. I think he's a little bit of a horn dog, if I'm not mistaken.
He
has a huge ego, too, among other issues.
Yes,
now,
that is true. And
if you look at the background
Ollie
right now, before you go on, Mike.
Yes.
If you look at the background right now, the lone picture below us is Sifl and Ollie. Sifl on the left, Ollie on the right.
Yep. And why do they have this show? I don't know. It just kind of has this sort of, I guess you could say, a bit of a public access feel to it. Like,
Yeah.
a couple of idiots, get a chance to be on camera and just do whatever, try to organize a entertainment variety half hour, and almost nothing ever goes right for them, which makes everything funnier.
Also,
especially the... Oh, go ahead.
Just as a interesting side note, when the original shorts appeared on MTV Europe, they were actually shot on VHS so they'd stand out from the rest of the MTV slick, stuff.
Oh, hey. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, the visual... the show's look was part of what got me on board back then, so no, I'd say that was a pretty good tactic to do so. I mean, I don't think I recall any other show back then that was just ran entirely with sock puppets. It was surprisingly original. It seems like something that would have... Maybe there's like some children's programming or whatever.
Lamb Chop, notably.
Yes, that is a good point. And maybe had a little bit of a sort of Muppet-esque, like much more lower budget than Muppets, to be sure, and also much cruder, but like, this would be like, a quote-unquote adult kids show, but like, not crappy, not too adult, not gross for the sake of it. This was actually legitimately funny, and I couldn't tell you exactly why I did or even do find it funny. It's hard to explain. It's just really good. It is just my type of absurdist humor that it totally hits the spot for.
I'm not going to lie to you. That's a healthy piece of real estate.
Yeah, maybe a little bit Homestar-ish. I can see that.
That's what I was going to say. Yes, there's some Homestar energy to this, just cruder.
You should probably say proto-Homestar, because I mean, I think like Homestar technically existed around this time, but it was still just like a children's book that the Brothers Chaps had written before it took a new life as a website, which I found in 2002. So,
it's possible that the Brothers Chaps were even maybe a little inspired by Sifl and Olly.
That would be cool. Yeah, I could totally see that. It's just that kind of like bonkers, sort of loose, relatively plotless and continuity-less humor. It's like practically a gag a minute, but not like in a shitty Family Guy way. I don't know how what else you guys would use to describe the show's general feel, but go ahead.
I like Snarb's description, The Muppet Show for Gen X.
Yeah, no, that pretty much hits the nail there. Yeah.
And the humor, interestingly, is very. Is it dry? It's very deadpan. Like it's just so it's like very off the cuff. You can tell sometimes they're just doing it off the first take, because sometimes they'll just one of them will say something absurd. Like we were watching an episode, and I think they were talking about like how they replaced shaved tigers with other shaved tigers, and they had a total breakdown for like a solid minute, just cracking up over how stupid that is.
Yeah, Matt and Liam very blatantly crack up a lot. That's apparently known as like corpsing in like stage vernacular, where it's like if someone in a play is supposed to be a corpse, but like, you know, they're like moving or whatever, or like, you know, they're laughing while they're supposed to be dead. That's kind of where that comes from. And they just leave it in. They just go with it. And I appreciate the deliberate unprofessionalness of it all. It's like it's stylistic suckiness is just a huge part of the charm.
It helps too that they were friends since they were kids.
Yes, that's also a good thing, and that you know that they're actual legitimate buddies and not just partners for the sake of money or whatever. Like, you know, like. I was gonna say like the fucking Gallagher twins from Oasis, but like let's not bring them up, I guess.
Wilkins Coffee, huh?
Yes, that was actually the Jim Henson's first Muppet showing. Basically, it was the prototype for it.
Yeah, I think I remember that. It was all in black and white, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wilkins and Wookins.
Yeah, no, I
think his name was. You like Wilkins Coffee? No. How about you out there? You like Wilkins?
Nice.
Before we go any further with dissecting the show here, why don't we just talk a little bit about our characters up here on the background?
Yes. And Chibi says, also happy to hear from Snarb again. Haven't heard his voice since the post-mortem YouTube videos.
Huh.
Yes, I was going to say thank you.
All right.
What was the post-mortems again? My memory's terrible right now.
I'm trying to remember, actually, but...
I don't know if I ever saw them.
Yep. Sorry about that. File not found. Cupcake brain gif.
So in that case, Mike, why don't you tell us about your character?
Well, my character is probably the closest thing to a tritagonist the show has. It's Chester, Sifl Olly's either very dumb or very stoned friend, possibly very both. Chester's a happy-go-lucky little guy. He kind of has like an endearing little brother quality to him, but like he just goes off on all sorts of weird, daft tangents that have almost nothing, not usually to do with the thing at hand, and he kind of has this sort of like high-pitched, sort of nerdy, very shy voice, like, hey guys, what's going on here? Like, something sort of cadence like that.
Also,
Chester is... go ahead.
Mo, just so you know, Wilkins Coffee was a brand of instant coffee that was sold in the 50s and has been discontinued for many decades at this point.
Wilkins. So that's actually still a brand. I'm not sure if I've heard of it.
I'm pretty sure it's
outside
gone.
of the commercial. Okay. Well.
I think it's been gone for, who knows, maybe even since like the 60s.
Gimbals is gone, Marge. Long gone. You're Gimbals.
Exactly. All right, but anyway, go on about Chester.
Yeah, Chester is, as the internet would say in the modern vernacular, a quote-unquote precious little cinnamon roll who must be defended at all costs. Like I said, endearing little brother quality, I think, is the best way to describe it. And it's like I think like Sifl and Olly like simultaneously generally like him and also think he's the dumbest guy in the planet, and they often they are oftentimes just snickering at basically everything he says. But he's a constant source of joy and levity, and there is always a segment in most shows, A Word with Chester, which has this bouncy little theme tune. Chester. And he even got a second segment where he even got a second segment later on where fans actually wrote letters into him. So, yeah, he's popular. Oh, Rock. There he is. He's like made out of like some sort of like clay mold or whatever. I forget what that is. That's put.
I thought it was like a rubber glove that's been turned inside out. You know, like one of those one of those dish gloves or something is what he kind of looks like.
It might be. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how they achieve that effect. I probably learned it at some point, but I can't remember now.
And no worries about that, Mo.
Yeah, no worry. Hey, if you don't know anything about SNL, that's partially why we're holding the stream. We're glad to educate anyone on its.
Oh no, Mo was talking about Wilkins.
Oh, right, that too. I mean, I don't even remember it myself, so don't worry. Right, I am a millennial too, technically. I mean, I don't like getting into generational divides and all that, but yeah.
There's a lot of crossover between millennials and Gen X, especially elder millennials, which is what I am. And yeah, that's, we were watching Sifl and Olly as kids, because, it's sock puppets, it's silly. And then Gen X was probably tuning in for the cynicism and sort of like the very stinging parodies of music videos and stylings of the time.
You know what I have to say to that, Snarb? Do you really want to know?
What's that?
Being Gen X?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yes.
Whatever.
Yeah, I know that United States of Whatever, even outside of Sifl and Olly, was popular for a while. In fact, the recent Scott Pilgrim show, Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, that actually played in the episode about Lucas Lee.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes, I shit you not. That and also Police Truck was used as a very, I think, blatant nod to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Which I'll stop mentioning THPS. I just kind of have that on the brain right now. But yes.
Anyway, yeah, I'll go next here with my character.
Mm-hmm.
This is Precious Roy. He is apparently the owner of Precious Roy's Home Shopping Network, our current sponsor for the night.
Yep.
And he doesn't quite know what planet he's on, I don't think.
No, pretty much not.
Yep.
I had a revelation before the show. I realized I don't even know what Precious Roy is or why he has a shopping network. Like, is he some sort of like Troy McClure-esque celebrity who just kind of became a spokesperson for a bunch of bizarre shit? If you can even really call him that.
I think he's more of a Ron Popeil type is what they're kind of jabbing at. And home shopping networks did have weird personalities on there sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
True, yes.
But here's a better look at his title card. The Precious Roy Home Shopping Network.
Bug eyes there.
Yeah, so the whole thing about him is, and if you were here at the beginning, you heard our word from Precious Roy. If not, I can always play it again. But basically, whatever Sifl and Olly are his spokesman. So they'll go ahead and they'll plug whatever the hell it is he's selling, whether it's like Civil War corpses or pirate cripplers or lice monkeys, things like that.
Black hole vacuum cleaners.
Yes, black hole vacuum cleaners. And eventually, they have to get a word in from Precious Roy. And so he'll come on and say something like, "This is Precious Roy, and you kids better pay for that lap dance." And it's like, no, but Precious, what about the pirate cripplers? Eat my apple cider. What?
Suckers!
Precious Roy, making lots of suckers out of girls and boys. Ding.
Doink.
Yep.
Yeah, Precious Roy, I just realized if we have a Homestar comparison going, he's not unlike Homsar or perhaps even Sonor Card Gauge. He's just a living non sequitur. Like, nothing he does, no sentiment he has is ever related to anything, not related to the products he's selling or anything Sifl Olly asks of him. He just kind of is, and it cracks me up fucking every time he just opens his maw there.
So, yeah, Precious Roy and Chester are both recurring characters. Snarbs, on the other hand, is not.
Yes. Mine only appears once, maybe twice, but I just love its appearance so much. So this is a little thing from the first episode. There was a skit where Sifl and Olly sent some fans to the moon. Now, I don't know how some Z-grade like public access show was able to afford that, but just bear with me here. They sent up to the moon and just like it's okay, but they mentioned that some of the there's not a lot of accommodations on the moon, and then this space asparagus just shows up. And it's like they're talking about it. They seem very concerned about it. And then at the very end of the skit, it finally strikes. And the only thing the astronaut can say is help in like the most muted way possible. And again, it just made me crack up the first time I saw it for like a solid few minutes. It's just so...
I think at the very
it encapsulates...
At the very end of the space asparagus is starting to take him down. He's like, dip me.
It just encapsulates the sort of madcap energy of the show and how often there's just one little skit that just shows up out of nowhere, like Mornings with Ruby.
Oh, yeah. We've got a few things to say about those. So, if we want to start talking about the different recurring characters now, you guys are up for that.
Sure.
I believe so, yes.
Let's start with, before we get into the recurring characters, speaking of Waking with Ruby, let's go ahead and get into some of the different segments they do.
They do have quite a lot. And each of them has their own little jingle, which have lingered in my head, once again, rent-free for ever, basically. Like, I hadn't seen Sifl Olly in, like... practically 2 decades until I just rediscovered them recently, and I'm like, I remember all these tunes. They never left.
Well,
but,
of course.
Yeah, there's the one with Chester that I mentioned earlier. Chester.
But then, this segment. Interview time.
Yes, with the spinning skeleton in front of the pastoral sort of 60s flower field.
Yep.
That makes zero sense, and it always cracks me up, too.
I was going to say, the crazy thing about this segment is they always say they're going to be interviewing somebody really cool or something like that, only to find out they had to cancel or they died or something like that. So now they just have to talk to whoever comes on.
And like a public access network show, they get some real crazies in there, to say the least.
Yeah. But the crazies are more reserved for one of the skits we're going to be talking about soon.
That's a good point, yes.
But they still get some crazies on interview time. No question about that. Oh. So, then, this one had a couple of interesting recurring bits to it. This would be Sifl Olly News.
SNO News. It's mostly just Sifl, weirdly, for that one, although I think Olly does weird stuff on that. Like, he has, like, a helmet that lets him communicate psychically with people at some point.
He also has a tendency to sing and make up lyrics that he sings over the opening jingle, which just pisses Sifl off to no end.
Yeah.
And on top of that, that's where you find out that Sifl is dating the former MTV news personality, Serena Alshall.
Because why not?
Exactly, because it's funny. So, yeah, and these news segments usually don't go anywhere.
Nope.
They just break down pretty much like everything else.
I was going to say, does anything really go anywhere in this show?
Well,
no.
Those fans did go to the moon, so...
Oh, progress. And then
somehow, I still wonder about that.
Okay, and then probably one of the most popular recurring sketches. Calls from the public.
From the
calls,
public.
Calls. Ka-thunk.
Yep.
Ka-thunk, yes.
I like the puppet for that. I wish he would actually show up in the show proper, but then that would probably take away from his prominence as the calls from the public guy.
Yeah, you want to
Oh
something
yeah, we
interesting
never
about
actually
that, though?
do. What's up?
Well, I watched some of those early MTV Europe shorts earlier today. The very first one, he's their first guest.
Oh,
Really?
Yes.
Holy
that
shit.
explains it.
Details. I must know more.
Okay, he also had a flower on his head.
Oh.
Why not?
And his voice is definitely not the singing voice you see here. Or you hear, I should say.
Gotcha.
Right.
But yeah, they usually take at least 3 calls. And some of the people that call in, we're going to get into a few of them in a little bit. But
And here are where the real loonies show up.
yeah. Have you tried standing up? Thanks. And yeah, there's just it's impossible to go into how many different nut jobs call in. But as Ollie puts it, just shout into your phone and you'll get us.
Sometimes it's regular people with absurd problems. Like there was this one guy who was playing D&D, and the DM did not want him to do something, and it was basically a metaphor for condom usage. It's like, oh, my wizard can't use the magic if he wears his wizard hat or whatever. And it's like, how did you get in this situation? How did you find this DM?
That just reminds me of the old I put on my robe and wizard hat bit,
Wizard hat.
which is still hysterical. Oh, but
Yep.
And some of the people who showed up in Calls from the Public originally actually spun off into their own recurring characters.
That's right.
Yeah. But then we have a segment which only aired during season 1. They cut it after that. But it was funny. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, rock facts.
That's right.
Rockbacks.
Now, the thing about this is they go ahead and put up like question, what does Bjork and Baywatch have in common? The answer after the break. And they'll come back. And here's the thing. You don't mention Bjork around Ollie.
It is a very bizarre hot button for him, yes.
Yes. And it turns out that what Baywatch and Bjork have in common is absolutely nothing.
Don't
Absolutely
compare
nothing.
to anyone.
Shame on you. But they'll also put up stuff like, how is the Prodigy's The Fat of the Land comparable to Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon? The answer is like if you sync up The Fat of the Land with, I forget what movie they said, it plays just like Dark Side of the Moon to The Wizard of Oz, but the text on the screen is saying, this is a total lie, Sifl and Olly are liars. So it's all sorts of stuff like that, and I really wish they continued it after season 1.
Yeah.
Maybe they just couldn't come up with any more bizarre rock facts. And
Oh, that's
apparently, at one point, one of them was real. It had to do with Queen Latifah.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah. Oh,
what's the context for that?
I don't know. I haven't seen that one in ages.
Nah, no worries.
I have vague recollections there was one about Queen Latifah, yes, but I forget specifically what the rock fact was.
Well, apparently it was 100% true. And then I only remember
Wow.
this next one I only remember showing up a couple of times. And that would be Waking with Ruby. Ruby is an interesting character. Like the first time you see this, she's waking up and she's like, oh, my head. Oh, what did I do last night? Was I chewing on raw bacon? And it turns out she's actually in bed with a horse.
Yeah, she likes her guy's hair, is what she is, something she mentions to the off-screen presence that she's talking to.
Yep. This is like the last thing you hear is just this neigh.
And she's like, "Oh no, not again."
Yep. So, aside from possibly Waking with Ruby, those are the majority of the recurring sketches, which are really popular. I'm trying to remember if there were
They
any
do
more.
sometimes have. They do actually have some reoccurring skits. They're not segments, but my favorite reoccurring skit they'll do is they take the car somewhere and drive. They do the rear projection.
Yes.
You know, they're in that cheap little car with the chain steering wheel. And the most recent one I saw was they had to take like Chester to a bunch of places, like he's like a dog to the vet. Basically, take him to the doctor, then the dentist, and then to make up for it, all that, because he's clearly feeling the drugs at some point. He's just leaning over; you can barely see his face because he's just so stoned after going to the doctor and the dentist. But they eventually take him to get a lap dance, and he's very happy about that.
I remember the one where he said he was going to go hang out at the bowling alley with the girl he was in love with. And so she wears these satin stretch pants, and when he leaves, they're like, I don't think that's actually a woman you saw. I think that's just the beanbag chair there.
Right, that was an actual radiator.
Yeah, exactly. It had that kind of energy to it.
Yep.
So, all right. We can talk about some characters now if you guys want, or we can digress and go on with some other stuff.
Well, I should also note that there's one more jingle. It's almost the end of the show.
Yeah.
He's like the Wonder Woman 70s star wipe there.
Yeah.
That's not really in so much a segment because it literally just is the end of the show. It's whatever final thoughts. And sometimes even actually fairly often a song to end the episode in question. But yeah, so...
I couldn't get a screen grab of that one because it just, it would have to be a GIF or something like that.
Yeah, that's
basically.
a good point. Yeah.
There was one other segment they introduced in season 2 to basically replace Rock Facts, and I didn't even think to get a screen grab of that one. That was Kicking It Old School.
That's right.
But all that was
Yes,
just...
that's where they do.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say, was that the one where they do the covers, or was that the one where they do the old songs over again?
They basically just do the old songs over again, but some of them might be covers. Yeah.
Yeah, they have actually sang a couple of covers. They actually sung Heart of Glass outright at some point.
Yes, and they even did the falsetto for a little bit, and then they got tired of it.
And some of my favorites they did were Don't Fear the Reaper, Hair of the Dog.
Nice.
And, there was one other one, too. I'm just trying to remember what it was. Yeah, the Don't Fear the Reaper in particular, they actually had the Grim Reaper on the show.
That's right. I think I remember that.
As they're singing, he interjects, he's like, "Baby, I'm your man." And next thing you know, they just kind of collapse on each other, and you see them with angel wings and halos, and they just descend down into hell.
Nice.
And the Hair of the Dog one came in an episode with a character we haven't discussed yet. But we'll get to her. So, and I know they've done some more too. I think they did possibly, was it Barracuda by Heart? They did that one?
I think maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Be surprised, yeah.
So, but yeah, it definitely shows their musicianship. Of course, now, if you want to talk about songs on the show, and I included a whole playlist full of them down in the episode description, or the video description. There are a lot of original songs they've done.
Mm-hmm. And it was MTV, so, it still accords to the show in question being musically inclined, but they're all very funny and goofy, none of them hokey at all. Like, has there ever been a show that has a lot of musical numbers on it that you're like, well, I'm getting a beer every time it happens? Sifl Olly's not that show. These are all very hilarious.
Exactly. Let's see. Snarb, you want to talk about one of your favorites?
Yeah, so the first one I would like to talk about is Weird Day. It was just a little bitter, a little side skit or something, and Ollie's going off about something, but then he notices that Sifl's just not having a good time. Sifl's leaning into the mic, and I want to take a shout out here, just a little minute to shout out to the acting they actually do with the hands. Every sock puppet somehow looks different. It has like a different mouth and different, way of speaking, and it's especially evident there because you can feel more of Sifl's sort of downbeat energy there. And then they sing a song about how he just had a very weird day, and it's got this sort of really nice sort of calming sound to it, with a little bit of an electronic backing, and then they sing a duet with each other, and that's a good classic example of a good Sifl and Olly song. It's just the sort of energy they bring. It's not necessarily a parody of anything specific, but it just has a good energy to it, and it feels very relevant and relevant to the time. I'm trying to think if maybe they were riffing off a song. I almost want to say maybe an Oasis tune or something like that. that kind of style of song.
Yeah.
But all of them are like that. Like whether it's an outright parody or just sort of channeling, that '90s music sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of like Weird Al and his style parodies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which are all very underrated and never seem to come up as often as his more recognizable music parodies.
With the exception of Dare to Be Stupid.
Yes, that is. I think I forget if it was Mark Mothersbaugh or Gerald Casale who said something like, "Well, I'm angry that Weird Al made the best Devo song ever," or something like that.
I remember reading that somewhere.
Fuck, they're right.
All right. Mike, you got one you want to talk about for a minute?
You're not my number one. You're not my number one, baby for gravy. Speaking of Devo, they were actually dressed like the band in question with their yellow radiation suits when they did You're Not My Number One, which is a weird sort of, I guess, new wavy type deal, but mostly it just has this sort of like frantic, jaunty keyboard tune as like a sort of like computer grid revolves in the background. And you're not my number two. You're not my number two. And it's supposed to be like some sort of 80s dance pop song, but more than usual, that one just really goes off the rails, and they're just laughing their asses off for like the last 10 seconds.
Yes, I remember that one. They can't keep it together.
Nope, they can't. Do you remember the intro to that, though?
My memory's a little rusty in that. You'll have to remind me.
They're trying to decide what style song they're going to sing. And Ollie wants to do punk. And Sifl's like, no way, dude. You just get too violent when you're playing punk music. well, what about new wave? Hell yeah, we haven't done that in like 2 weeks. And then they put on their version of the Devo suits and go at it. With gravy for baby.
Yep.
Now,
that's appropriate then.
A personal favorite of mine, which has actually made it outside of Sifl and Olly fandom and has actually appeared as an Easter egg in, I think, a video game somewhere at one point. Not the song itself, but there was reference to it. Basically, it opens up when, they're talking about the end of the show, and all of a sudden this dude with a huge bandage on his head comes running in going, "Help, help! I was in a terrible accident." It's like, oh, what's wrong? He's like, I'm a bus driver and I hit my head. Now I got amnesia. It's like, oh, which car are you hauling, kids? No, I'm trying to get these llamas to school. Oh, you're trying to get to the llama school, huh? Yeah, how do you help me quick? Well, first you go to Las Palmas, and then this beat starts going on. And then you go to Colorado, and then down to Pico, and everybody with me. That's how you get to
llama school.
That was with me? Come on, guys, you can do better than that.
I know, I apologize.
There's a audio lag going on, to be fair.
But yeah, and the funny thing is they keep scrambling the directions as the song goes on.
Yeah, that's another good point. But
and take your little llamas. Colorado, Colorado, Las Palmas, get to llama school. Mike, you mentioned you were like 9 first time you saw Sifl and Olly.
Roughly, yeah. So it was quite enlightening to re-enjoy it like 25 years later. Wow.
Interestingly enough, I introduced Sifl Olly to my kids at about that age.
That's awesome.
I didn't. I didn't do a lot with like the different skits, but I definitely went into the songs.
Yes. I mean, despite the fact that, like I said, it does get a little slight bit raunchy, like, it only goes so far as you can with sock puppets, and for the most part, I wouldn't necessarily say it's all ages, but, like, I was not at the least appropriate age I could have been when I first saw that.
There's one episode in particular I can think of where it definitely is not age appropriate, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
I was going to say, there was at least one bit, I want to say it was one of the calls from the public, where there was a certain character where I think I had to, I think I asked my mom, like, what is this G spot that he's talking about?
God.
And she's just like, you'll find out when you're older, or something like that. So, there's the guy who was like the orgasm or whatever.
Interview with an orgasm.
Yes, that actually happened.
Another one of my favorite songs is I Sure Do Miss the 80s. And
appropriate.
the lyrics are quite simple, actually. I don't know how Caesar felt when he got to the Ides of March. I don't know what Houdini bought when he went to the store, but I sure do miss the 80s. And it just keeps building and building and just getting more frantic. And all these clones start popping out of this cloning device of the two of them.
Nice.
And let's see. Another one. This was a Sifl song, which is kind of unusual. Up Here in the Cabinet. Now, you guys remember that one?
I don't know if I do, actually.
I'm up here in the cabinet, banging on some pots and pans, swinging from a rubber band. Maybe I could make a plan. Maybe I could steal a van.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I do remember that one, but they've done so freaking much. My memory's a little rusty.
Everything's fine on this end, Sharon. I don't know what's going on with you.
She might have rewinded the thing.
That's
as
possible.
a quick aside, I need to step out and feed my cats. They're getting a little bit clingy, as you might imagine, so I will be right back.
All right. So, Mike and I will keep talking.
I sure hope so.
Yes. So, let's see. I'm going to wait until he gets back for that one. Gotcha. And that one. And that one. And those. And, okay, we can't really talk about more music until Snarp gets back.
Well, that's an unexpected wrench.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. But,
so what did you want to talk about then?
Up here in the cabinet.
Did you want to say any more about, like, the state of MTV around then, what good it had, and the sort of decline? Because I'm not sure if we're ever going to actually have a round table on it, so I figure that was the closest we get.
Okay, so basically MTV was going down in flames, and Sifl Olly was the only bright spot on that network at the time. Because this is the same era that gave us Total Request Live.
I didn't want to mention TRL, but I don't know how directly responsible it was for MTV's Hindenburg-esque crash, but it did feel like an identifiable marker that I could point into and say, these were the times and this was how shitty it was getting. So that's kind of the, I don't know how justified it is, but yeah, that's just kind of the association I have with TRL and Carson fucking Daly or whatever his name was.
Yeah. But yeah, we went from the glory days of MTV in the 80s to the weird show and the animation and stuff from the 90s, ignoring all the crap. And then Sifl Olly was the last gasp.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. And
Yep.
then...
And then I remember there was once a time when MTV used to play music.
I know. What a twist.
I
What
started
a
watching
concept.
VH1 at that point. They were showing more music videos than MTV was. Of course, I also got a very rude awakening at the time, too. I distinctly remember watching VH1 Classic. And all of a sudden, videos start popping up from Nirvana and Pearl Jam. It's like,
ooh, that's devastating.
Those songs, some of those weren't even 10 years old at the time.
Yeah, I could see how that...
It's like, yeah, they're classics, but they're not VH1 Classic. That's like, you know...
Oh, hey, Tristan just popped up.
Hey, Tristan. Yes, we are doing Sifl Olly tonight.
Yeah, and also kind of low-key, because our other host, Snarb, is on cat break. They're just reminiscing further about MTV, the rise and the fall, so to speak.
All right, Sharon, tell me if you hear this then. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The Sifl and Ollie, Sifl and Olly Show.
Rock.
Yep.
Oh. So we're actually going through some of our favorite songs right now, Tristan. When Snarb gets back, we'll start covering the rest of them. Because I'm looking over the list and it's like, no, we gotta wait. We gotta wait.
Whoopsie doodle.
Well, it happens.
The joys of pet ownership.
Yeah. That's why I fed my cats early.
Yep.
Yeah, I probably should have done the same, but I am here now.
All right.
Oh, hey, what up?
Back to the songs then. All right. What was the last one we talked about? Sure do miss the 80s?
Yes, that was the last one.
Okay. What about Dude's House?
Oh, that's a good one. They can't party at Dude's house anymore.
Nope. Let's see.
That has a great intro, too, because they're just explaining how it's the party of a century and it just went down in flames.
Yep, exactly. Parents came home early.
As it does.
And then, let's see. There was Laser Eyes. And Hellfire was another one. It was like...
That's good.
Ollie is like, Sifl Olly are in hell for some reason. They literally say this. And they run into like Satan or something like that. And Sifl's like, no way, you can't out-sing us. Ollie's going to kick your ass. And he's like, but dude, I don't know how to sing. And all of a sudden he just comes back and he's like, launches into this whole thing. And at the end, well, Satan blows fire at them, so they run. All right, now another one of my favorites is Fake Blood.
Yes,
that's a classic. It's basically a send-up of songs like Freebird, essentially, is what the feeling I was getting from that one.
It was more of a Guns N' Roses parody than anything else, I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ollie starts out dressed like a vampire with ridiculous fake teeth, but
I'm going
then
to be
he
the next Canadian Dracula.
Yeah, but then
Spit those things out, dude.
I'm going to be the next Canadian Dracula.
When the song... Go ahead.
You're not Canadian. I'm not Dracula either, but I got what it takes.
Yep, and then he actually does don the Axl Rose hair and headband at like halfway in. So.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And shortly after that, Sifl has the long hair and top hat that Slash had. Hey, Harris.
Yep.
And
I just like the bit too in the background where they're pouring blood all over a sundae, and it's like,
yeah. And on a toothbrush.
Yeah.
Fake blood, you scare me like the real thing. And if you were the real thing, you'd scare me more. Yeah. In Love with a Carrot was good.
Yes.
Oh, so let's see. Now, yeah, that's just a great song all around. And then, Snarb, you said one of your favorites was Performance Art.
Yes, because, like, I'm trying to remember vaguely what the intro is. I think it was essentially just him talking about doing performance art or something in the park. And then he goes into this whole song, and it's like describing all of these weird things, like nailing him to a cross, and I think like making them eat some kind of weird food or something. It's just, it's a very nice send up of well performance art, which is usually absurd nonsense like that.
Yeah, that I vaguely remember that one. And then, of course, there was Rock and Roll Friends.
They help you check your books back in, and Rock and Roll Friends. They help you check your books back in. I don't know why they say that twice, but I guess that's important.
Yeah. And, of course, now, gotta explain this one. Because, as you know, we're having a very Crescent Fresh stream right now. And if someone here doesn't know what Crescent Fresh means, look it up. I posted all those links down there for you to check out. But remember, how's it's like angry dude with many tattoos is something so crudity rude. He's not Crescent Fresh. A nicety guy, he flies a kite, and nicety girl, she like it, he likes him. They are Crescent Fresh. Super Crescent best. He's Crescent Fresh. And
they just brought that up. Like they made a song based off of that. But should we go into the whole Crescent Fresh thing here as an aside?
Yes, we should. So, go ahead, Snarb. Kick us off.
Well, as I understand it, they just had like a random like 90s stoner kind of guy on the thing, and he kept saying Crescent Fresh and just Crest and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I guess they just something about that term popped off just enough that they turned it into its own thing. It actually became sort of a bit of modern lingo for a little while, I believe.
Yep. Also, hello, Shannon. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Shannon.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I remember that guy, because even they were confused at first, like, what's this Crescent Fresh stuff?
Oh, Crescent!
Like, what? All right, now, then, okay, I that's the first time I ever saw this one, I about died laughing. Prostitute Laundry.
Yes.
Prostitute Laundry.
Oh, yeah, there's just...
That's a nice beat.
Prostitute sure got
You just
some
can't wash all
clothes.
those clothes.
Yeah. Oh, and let's see, what else? Okay, we're going to get into this character in a little bit, but we need to mention the Panda songs.
Oh God.
This is not... Neither of these are Sifl and Olly songs. It's a guy who basically intrudes into the studio even after being banned.
Repeatedly.
And he's obsessed with pandas. And he keeps coming up with all these... Yeah. Where are all of those corpses? But, yeah, he's obsessed with pandas. And he keeps making up all these bizarre facts. Yes. The pandas are coming on a rampage of the dead. Not too many people know about the second one, though.
Yes, we didn't actually bring this up, but there was, in fact, a fourth season of Sifl and Olly.
Very short-lived.
Yeah.
It was based on YouTube, so they could actually, do all things they couldn't do on television. But most of the recurring characters, or at least a good deal of them, made a reappearance, and this character, Deuce Loosely, was one of them.
Deuce. I forgot that was his actual name. That's
Yep.
Oh, why not?
This has been number one in my saga of the panda, which will cease after 820. You will see me again, Mr. Sifl. Oh, we were just discussing the Tony Hawk one a little while ago.
That's right. That's
Indeed.
Right.
Ah, so we're talking. Pretty sure it wasn't actual Tony Hawk, but a puppet perhaps voiced by him. All right, let's see. But yeah, those panda songs are hilarious.
No, it's not Panda. It's
Yeah.
Panda. Always has
panda.
Did you know the word panda is pronounced pranda in every language? Mike and I actually saw the second one today. We were actually cramming in a little bit of the fourth season because neither of us had really seen it. And that bit, I was cracking up probably for a good 5 minutes because it's like he was talking about how like panda tears are like this perfect frictionless lubricant and how they would use it to lubricate the roofs of Japanese castles so that when samurais tried to invade, they would slip off and die.
I wonder if that was a Tenchu reference, actually.
And that's why they...
it might have been.
Yeah, and that's why they created the yin-yang. Because the black is for the panda, and the white is for the panda.
Oh, Jiminy Christmas. That was
dirty
immaculate.
bears of Satan. They come when you're sleeping, through your window creeping. Okay, so let's wrap up the songs here, because there's one we absolutely have to remember. It's the title of the freaking stream, pretty much. United States of whatever.
Or more specifically, this is my United States of whatever.
Yep. I've seen it referred to as just whatever, United States of whatever, my United States of whatever. And it is probably the most famous thing that ever came out of that show.
Yeah, no, Liam Lynch actually did have some... I mean, it debuted in the show, but it actually had some sustainability outside of Sifl Olly. It might have been actually the thing that Liam was probably best known for a while there.
So, I know one of you mentioned it was in like a Scott Pilgrim episode recently.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's 3 a.m. I'm on the corner wearing my leather. This guy comes in, he's like, "Hey, punk." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." I was down at the beach, saw Kiki, and she's all like, "Yeah," and I'm all like, "Whatever." And I'm throwing dice in the alley, and Officer Leroy comes up and said, "Hey, I done thought I told you." I said, "Yeah, whatever." Because this is my United States of whatever.
It's a legit beat too. It's a number one jam, as they would say on Homestar.
All right, so now let's get into some of the recurrent characters. All right, let's see who's first on the list. Aesop Jones.
Oh, that fucking...
oh, nice. It actually was Tony Hawk. That is great.
Awesome. All right, well, Aesop Jones is a chef who babbles incomprehensibly. He's like the Swedish chef if he DNA fused with Beaker, best way I could put it. And if he was a complete disaster and often seriously maimed himself every time he tried to cook a dish.
Yeah, he turns himself into the dish he is cooking. Like he turns himself, I think, into a donut and some other stuff too. But every time he shows up, it just is so painful.
Yeah.
Yes. It's I remember Ollie actually likes him for some reason. Sifl does not. I remember one of the Sifl and Ollie news segments begun. Ollie was saying, "Now it's time to cook with Aesop Jones." Oh, dude, you brought him back? Yeah. I don't want him here. And well, I think that was the episode where he turned his head into a waffle. So, I guess Sifl has some actual reason to be apprehensive.
Didn't he have an assistant who worked with him too at one point?
Oh yeah. She was really horny for him for whatever reason. I don't know. He had the Kavorka or whatever. I don't know.
But yeah, I never got to see him a lot back when the show was actually on the air. But whenever I did, it was just like everything else, hilarious.
Yep.
And then next after that, this guy, Jargon Scott. I'll say some legless dogs. Look, they don't run away. They're like cuddly throw pillows. They inevitably turn him down, and he gets this telemarketer to call in and try and sell him on the legless dogs. You guys don't know what you're missing out on.
Oh man, he looks like Ernie. Actually, yeah, you're not wrong. He definitely has a bit more of a Muppety quality than normal.
It's like Ernie if Ernie was a sleazebag selling legless dogs.
Good way of putting it, actually.
But yeah, and then this next one showed up in the very first episode. Stealth.
Oh yes, Ollie's rival.
Yep. Remember how Ollie pissed him off in the first place?
How was that?
He drove a golf cart through his bar mitzvah while wearing a beaver costume.
That's a very Ollie move.
Yes.
It really is. Yeah, I mean, I can understand why Stealth is so pissed off. I forget how recurring he was, but I know he always showed up in the opening montage.
He showed up again a few other times. And usually with the same angry demeanor, and the whole, it's like, I'm going to kick your ass, and then I'm going to kick your ass. Yeah, I'd like to see you try, buddy. And, oh yeah, we can't forget the song Cindy the Hostess, because that's the one that Stealth guest starred on. So, they're singing this happy
She's
song.
the host.
Yeah. It's okay, because Cindy's the hostess.
She's
She's
the
DOA. It's like every line he's like, fire burn and skies will rumble and...
Oh yeah, I remember that now.
And finally Ollie cut him off by saying something about mythology and Jerry Springer.
What the fuck? Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Now on the flip side of Stealth, you've got Zaffo.
This guy is the guy.
Yes.
He sounds like he ate a 80s Moog keyboard or whatever.
Or a vocoder or something. But apparently he's like the coolest guy in the world.
Yeah. In fact, it's kind of funny because he was actually directly mentioned in the United States of whatever. So it's like he has this further crossover when the song went more into the mainstream. And like I was wondering if anyone who had heard the song before Sifl and Olly knew who the hell Zaffo was. A little interesting to think about.
and then Zaffo goes like, "Hey, what's up?" He said nothing. He said, "That's cool." This is Bayou.
Yep.
And he wants to play for 13 hours at this show. The first time he appeared in this, like, he invited him out and to see him play. And when he goes, this alien comes on. He's like, "I'm here to destroy your planet." And they're like, "Can you believe it? Zaffo called in." "Hey, this is your only warning."
Well, wasn't that actually like a meteor that was about to crash into Earth?
No, this alien was threatening to destroy it.
Oh.
And he's like, "This is your only warning. Your planet's going to be destroyed." And they're just going on about Zaffo until finally the alien overhears him. He's like, "Wait, you said Zaffo?" "Yeah. Oh, he played for 13 hours once." "Oh, I guess we could postpone the destruction of your planet for a little bit." So,
it's funny because they kind of reused that skit this another time he appears, but this time it's an asteroid heading to Earth, and they don't want to pay attention to it because Zaffo called in.
So I didn't remember that wrong then. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, his first.
Yeah, there were two different skits.
Yeah, his first appearance was the one with the alien.
Gotcha.
And then, oh boy, Sex Girl. Very obviously a parody of Pamela Anderson.
Yep.
That whole bit, though, where she shows up during interview time. It's like, well, we were going to do an interview, but Sex Girl's here, and we're not going to do it.
Yeah, Sifl showing his more lustful side pretty blatantly.
You like fresh baked bread? Yeah, you like fresh baked bread? Oh. Why do they call you Sifl anyway? Well, you'll find out in about 5 days.
Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, but, it got worse than that. Because after that, Sifl's done. It's Ollie's turn. And he goes up there and she's like, "Hey, big boy." He's like, "Baby, everything I'm gonna do to you, I learned at SeaWorld."
It's SeaWorld.
SeaWorld. What the SeaWorld? I ain't no cheap asshole. You got maybe all your boys. And it finally goes back to Sifl's like, "Dude, where would you come up with this?" The aquarium. And who would you use that line on? Marine biologists? She's not a marine biologist. Well, one of you smelled like, and then there's just this huge beep. I don't know. And then, of course, she shows up later on at the end of the episode, and she's still pissed off at Ollie, and that's when he launches into their cover of Hair of the Dog.
Yep.
It was great. So, yeah, she showed up a few times in the original series run.
Mm-hmm.
And then, this interesting little character here. The Tooth Fairy.
Oh, the Tooth Fairy.
Okay. Betty is not a fan of Sifl and Ollie. But I told her about the Tooth Fairy, and she about died laughing just picturing it.
Nice.
Yes. Pair of pliers with angel wings is how I described it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. I forget what the context of the interview with the Tooth Fairy was, but it was funny. I know that much.
I think they owed the Tooth Fairy money or something weirdly, and they were going to collect with his teeth. I forget. I think it was either it was probably Ollie that got into trouble there.
More than likely, and that does sound familiar.
And then they're talking about suing each other, with their lawyers.
Yeah. Did she have more than one appearance? I don't recall.
Good question.
I don't know, actually. I want to say maybe, but either way, it's a very memorable sort of appearance. And I love the design. It's just a pair of pliers with angel wings, and it's like you immediately get what their angle there is.
Yep.
And Mo appreciates the Tooth Fairy.
Yep.
Then we have probably
again. This show's low budgetiness working to its favor. It's I don't know how they could have done better with that.
But then we have what's probably the most adorable character on the show. Yes, even more so than Chester.
Surprisingly.
Ollie's mom.
Is it Sifl or someone that says she has it going on or something like that?
That wouldn't surprise me. She seems to...
I think Sifl... Yeah.
There's something going on with those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was talking to her, she was talking to him or something like that. Or Sifl was asking if he could talk to Ollie's mom.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there is definitely something going on between Sifl and Ollie's mom. But she's just so level-headed, though,
It's his actual mom, isn't it? Like one of their mothers, or...
that wouldn't surprise me. I never looked into it.
Oh.
Sharon, you've barely ever watched this show, but I know your reasons. We won't go into it here. Anyway. So, yeah. Ollie's mom. And then we have the man you've heard so much about. Deuce Loosely.
And his obsession with the panda.
Yes, the panda.
I have to wonder what is that action figure that they have under the panda hat?
It looks like it might just be a Ken doll they chopped up.
Possibly.
Yeah, they do use dolls on the show, so.
Uh-huh.
But,
seems likely.
Also, in his first...
I want to know where they got the panda hat, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
No idea there.
The first song he did, one of Sifl's lines absolutely just cracked me up. I think it's during the second verse. He's like, "Okay, someone shut off the oxygen in the next room." Oh, but yeah, I'm waiting for the Panda song part 3. It may never happen, but I'm waiting for it. After all, there's 820 of them.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm guessing we'll probably never hear 818 of them.
A shame, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then here's nice. That's the way to do it, Tristan. This, when we did our Super NES stream, I think you were there for that. I remember at the end when we mentioned we were doing Sifl Olly in the next stream, we got basically the audio equivalent of a blank stare from everyone who was on there with us. Like, so what and who?
Yep.
So, okay.
And if it still gets that reaction today, I do hope so. If it just looks like weird enough for anyone to wonder what the heck this is, but they think it looks interesting at all, then
Video description, links, you can watch the whole thing.
Please do.
Yes, it is floating out there. It is out there if you wish to consume it.
Yep.
Yes, you and Snarb were both in the chat at the time. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys were both excited. Mike and I were both excited. Everyone else was like, "What?"
I do have a bit of a larger audience than I thought we would for this stream, so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So Sifl and Olly did have a favorite show when they were kids.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you knew it was coming, Mike.
No, I'm really a huge fan of this one in particular.
Pedo and Fleck.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's favorite little foam washers or whatever they're supposed to be.
Hey, I'm Pedo, and this is my best friend Fleck.
Good. And it's like Pedo and this. Go ahead.
You're crazy, Fleck.
Good.
They should call you Pile Driver.
The premise is basically Pedo, this really, I don't know what you call it, sort of voice. Like,
Prime.
Extremely nasal.
Yeah, Prime.
Hey, Prime, what's up, sir? Pedo in this extremely nasal voice is, talking about things that Fleck has done, and Fleck can only talk like, good, which is, think of how everybody understands the cheat on Homestar Runner, except despite the cheat, it's like, and Fleck's apparently saying some pretty foul and or criminal stuff, and Peter's just like,
You're the man, Fleck.
Yeah.
and it's I don't know why it's cracking me up, but good has just lived in my head rent free forever. So
Understandable. So.
It's pretty amazing.
So yeah, and they show up and they do this every time because they're always watching old recordings of their show.
Yep, and they say it was like influential on their own program is like why they got into show business in the first place, and I wonder if it's like a rip off of the old comedy duos like Abbott and Costello or Laurel and Hardy and what have you.
Yeah, it's certainly possible.
Maybe.
All right.
And
Now,
it's just the type of absurdity that I love. Like I mentioned the cheat, there's a bit of a Homestar Runner-ish quality to it.
yeah. Again, you never know. That might have been the inspiration for the cheat.
Yep.
All right. And then our last character we're going to show off here would be Grout. Alien NASA scientist guy
yes.
thing.
It was clearly inspired by the sandworms from Beetlejuice. I love this guy because he's very deadpan. And you got the best clip, the best picture of him too, because that's when he scans all his head and finds all the scorpions inside.
Yep.
Yep.
It's like a Microsoft Kinect, and he's just scanning his brain.
Yeah, the Zeus 720. That was just great. And, yeah, I don't know if you can see the TV too well, but it's actually a Precious Roy TV.
Oh yeah, good point.
So this would be from the reboot that happened online, and yeah, he was doing work. Well, that was the episode that had the slap that ass game in it with that terrible representative who was like he was just so typical of the type at the time. Stay in school. I'm out.
Yeah, the hype man or the
yeah.
the like game like very E3. Let's just put it that way.
Yes. Yet again, when they moved to video games from music in the 4th season, they are just so good at nailing everything that makes that sort of era it, or what makes games and music. It's just, you'd never think they could pivot like that, and yet here they are, essentially.
You know, Liam and Matt are real ones that genuinely know their shit, which, if you want to make a parody funny, you should really do your research on why, you know, people who are in the know would actually find it funny and question, instead of just, like, you know, like, if I was going to do a riff on sports, I wouldn't just be like, oh, hey, sports ball. It's that thing. Do the thing. Win the points. And I mean, I do that because I'm a spiteful nerd, but if I did want to do a sports parody, I'd probably have to actually, like, get into the actual damn thing for even a bit of time. So,
Now,
write what you know, so to speak.
well, maybe now would be a good time to tell you what I attempted to do.
Oh, what's up?
A little while back, I decided to take a chance, and I actually sent an email to Liam Lynch and invited him to guest on the stream. Unfortunately, I never got a reply.
I mean,
Aw.
I'm not surprised at the result, but that is some balls, sir. I'm actually impressed.
Hello, look who you're talking to here.
Yeah, well, that's right. You have actually interviewed some actual awesome people.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I didn't get that interview with Shawnee Zalt from White Zombie for, no reason. I just found her store and emailed her, and her person that got the email forwarded it to her. She wrote me back.
yeah, exactly. I'm just personally scared shitless at even the premise of any of that. Like, just how my personality works out. I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want to bother you. Sorry about that. I'm so meek. Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to bring this particular episode up because of the experimental software that Grau's working on. It's like they use the Connect thing there to go ahead and scan Sifl because he's had headaches, and he's like, no, I'm just dehydrated. It's like, and let's see, analyzing, and yeah, you've got scorpions in your head. They're definitely taking root in there. And then the solution: seek local witch doctor.
What does that even mean? What I need is like a brain surgeon and
a freaking exterminator.
I just had a thought out of nowhere. Admittedly, this one's a bit more for Snarb than Rob, but that's not a fucking Darkseid reference, is it?
I don't. It's hard to say that, like.
That's probably a huge long shot, but it does kind of remind me of that a bit.
Well, it wouldn't shock me if they did some deeper cuts at points, because notably when there's this sort of joke between the two that Sifl doesn't play video games, right? Like,
that's right.
The last video game he played was Zaxxon on the ColecoVision, which is actually, not only is that kind of a deeper cut, but that's also a pretty good game. I think it's a pretty decent port of Zaxxon from what I understand. But
yeah.
More importantly, it's this was before the stream, but Rob mentioned that there's an episode called, I think, Ollie's Top 3 Games, and one of them might be a reference to Crystal's Ponytail on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah,
yes,
that's right.
And now I've forgotten the name of it again. But it's like Pretty Pony Daycare or something like that. and
that was... Mm-hmm. Sorry, go ahead.
I'll say Ollie named his horse Miss Boots, and he put lipstick on her, and then, oops, Miss Boots made an oops. And of course, Sifl insults the whole thing. Well, Miss Boots is going to ask you to the prom, but now she's not gonna, kind of thing. Yeah, it's strange seeing that sandwiched in between Electric Whipping Post and Electric Whipping Post 2.
That's a very Ollie thing to do, though, is he would just have, like, he would be into this really bloody, gory thing, and then it's like the other thing's, like, really cute and sunshines and rainbows.
Yep.
You know what that reminds me of? How would I say it? Bite my shiny daffodil ass, so to speak. A favorite little non sequitur from Futurama, but yeah.
And that's the title card for the season 4. So as you can see, you got Sifl Olly and Chester all right there.
Just
Real reviews of fake video games.
Yeah, exactly. We should talk about that for a little bit because I think it kind of came and went. Not a lot of people realized it.
I didn't know it. If I had known, I would have watched every episode as they aired.
Yeah, same here.
I actually did.
Just
so if that tells you anything.
Oh, lucky.
Dip.
There were some good ones on there, don't get me wrong. In fact, the song they opened the whole reboot, because I've taken to calling it the reboot. But even though it's more or less a continuation. They opened up with a song called Motherfucking Pie. Proving once and for all they were not on TV.
Yep, that is a good point, yes.
Mm-hmm. But, then started to see some of the classic characters returning, like Precious Roy and Chester and a couple of the other ones. Can't think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, Chester gets quite a showing in the 4th season from what I've seen. Like, he's got actual multiple lines and stuff, and he really interacts with the two more than he did in the original show. Especially in the very first one, he actually sets the studio on fire.
Yeah,
he's like, I had this little friend called Matchy. Like, I rubbed him really hard, and then there's all these sparks, and
there's the one.
Now it's very hot.
Yeah, I remember that. And there's the one where he says he's going to go hang out with his new girl down at the bowling alley. And, she's, I forget what he calls her. It's like, sugar lips or something like that. And she wears these really, really nice stretch pants. And after he leaves, Sifl's like, I don't think that's a woman he's talking about. I think that's just the beanbag chair down the bowling alley. I have to say that out of everything they did in the reboot, my favorite episode was one where they did Redhead Redemption. This is totally worth talking about because Ollie is off his meds.
Yep.
Dude,
he is
take your meds.
Yeah, exactly.
He is throwing himself full tilt into the cowboy theme. Like, he doesn't even know what reality is anymore.
Nope. But the whole plot of the game is that you're trying to get revenge on the people who killed your father because of his red hair. So, your redheaded cowboy walks into the general store. He's like, "Hello, sir." "Oh, yes, hello. I'm sorry, we don't serve your kind here." "My kind?" This dude just
and then he says this really long, this really long thing about red hair, and then eventually I think he calls him a tomato goblin.
I don't do business with tomato goblins. Oh, but
that is one of the most unique euphemisms I've heard lately.
Not before this classic bit though. "You're about to have red hair from bleeding bullet hole in your head." All right, Harris, have a good one.
Yeah, hey, think of somebody and take care.
Yeah. So, and of course, Ollie makes the redheaded cowboy shoot the shop owner. At which point, Sifl starts getting horrified because the next thing you know, he's down on the floor skinning the guy.
Yep.
What are you doing?
And it gives him meat and a skin, too.
Yeah. It's like,
I got
it's tasty. Don't tell me you never nibble down some people meat.
It's like, it tastes like chicken, a big chicken.
Yeah, a real big chicken. Oh, and the way he describes the town, Yeah, the worst thing about the town is they've only got one prostitute. And she's got a bum leg. She's also old.
Again, the creators showing their research because, of course, you can kill shopkeepers in Red Dead Redemption, and you can skin animals, but I don't think you can skin people. So I don't remember he had that ability.
Let's take this guy up to my cabin in Big Woods and fry him up real good. I'll even let you lick the ranch dressing off the axe. All right, Chester, go ahead. Disconnect this thing.
Shut it down.
Yeah, shut it down. And then Chester manages to pull the plug on everything.
Yep.
What in tarnation just happened? Yeah, that's still my favorite after all this time. But it's funny. They started off on I can never figure out how to pronounce it.
Machinima or whatever?
Yeah,
Machinima, something like that.
mashed potatoes.
I do not remember.
You know, something like that. And then they went to the Nerdist.
Oh.
And then after like 14 episodes, it was gone.
Nah,
Just like that.
Yep.
so it goes.
And just the fact we got another season of Sifl and Olly was awesome, even if it was short.
Yeah.
And as of now, the characters are in limbo. I think they do occasionally show up on Liam Lynch's podcast, though.
Nice.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So, what I wouldn't give to see them come back and, flatten this current generation with some absolutely out there humor.
Yeah, I mean, if only.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be that old crank who says that all TV nowadays sucks, but TV kind of fucking sucks nowadays.
Well,
It's
So
not
I will.
even television. It's streaming, and it's, again, they want the cheapest, most lowest effort thing. So, yeah, it is just television again. Television 2.0.
So, when are we going to have the Culture Vacuum podcast anyway? Because I think we actually could.
I'm figuring
I think Kate would get mad at us for that one.
Yeah,
I think Kate would get mad at us for that one.
Well, she doesn't like the sixth generation of games very much. So, that, I guess that kind of falls into that. Well, I don't. Okay, maybe.
Which one's the sixth generation again? That's
the PS2
PlayStation
generation.
2.
Oh,
Yeah, GameCube, Xbox. Technically, the Dreamcast. Actually, Dreamcast launched that one.
It did. That is true.
out of all those, the only ones I ever owned were a PS2 and a Dreamcast. So,
I had a GameCube and a Dreamcast, so.
well, I had to get a PS2. That was my system of choice as soon as I found out that Gradius 3 and 4 were coming out for it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That was back when I could afford to decide, let the oncoming lineup decide what I was going to be getting.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, then we got Gradius 5, so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're on video game reviews. We can talk video games for a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
And on my Zeus 720 Xbox 360, what influenced me about that was the fact that they had a lot of shooters, and also Splatterhouse was going to be on it. So there you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You had it all, eh, Tristan? Surprise? With those books? Oh, they're huge. Remember that. Giant books. Check them out.
Buy my book.
No, that's my line.
Okay.
Anyway. So, for anyone who wasn't here at the beginning of this little slideshow, I'll just go backwards. Let's see. There's Grout again. Pedo and Fleck. Deuce Loosely, a.k.a. the Panda Man. Ollie's mom. The Tooth Fairy. Sex Girl. Zaffo. Stealth. Jargon Scott and his legless dogs. And Aesop Jones. And we also went over some of the different recurring segments too, like Waking with Ruby, Rock Facts, Calls from the Public, Sifl and Olly News, Interview Time, and A Word with Chester. Hey, Brandon.
Aw. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Brandon, what's
Rock.
up? Yes.
So we're back to the main one now since we've gone through that. So, yeah. So tonight's stream was brought to you by Precious Roy's Home Shopping Network. just tossing in a little thing for our sponsor. Cut to card. But what else can really be said about Sifl Olly? Yeah, I hear that, Prime.
It came and went too soon, and I wish there was more of it. Like, maybe they could do movies this time or streaming.
Yeah.
Although I don't know what they really cover. It'd probably just be endless Marvel movie jokes.
Well, it's funny because even for their time, it's like they definitely had their pulse on, the trends of pop culture at the time, but they didn't really feel in so much like they were just really like blatantly satirizing it so much as they were just running off of the vibes that music and other things at the time were going on. So I do hope that if they come back in any sort of capacity that I guess their game parodies were a little bit more obvious, but somehow, it didn't feel like how, bad satire is just, like, blatant about what it's trying to riff off, but, like, it's a lot more cringy. Like, this is where I insult Family Guy once again.
I was going to say, where's the Family Guy coming in?
But, yeah, if Sifl Olly were to come back, I just hope they give whatever satirical elements they have a light touch, but they're not like really jabbing you in the face about like, oh hey, you remember this is like how this is, hey, you remember that, hey, blah blah blah, or at least that's sort of the impression that I get off of that. So, like, I cannot think of any show that does exactly what they do. Not even nowadays, but like even back in the day, I couldn't tell you exactly if anything that they did was relatable to any other programming, or if it was just very unique to its approach.
Also,
I would say in terms of parody material, The Critic is absolutely the closest thing, because that shows a genuine love for the material, while also just mercilessly tearing into it.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Yes.
Also, real quick, for everyone who missed the beginning of the stream, I want to go ahead and play our intro again. So
please do, yes.
Yeah. All right, everyone. So check this out. We're going to shut up for. Well, you'll see.
No.
Here we go. Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's special presentation featuring, for the first time ever, a sponsor. We've had problems finding sponsors in the past.
Yeah, you've had some serious-ass sponsor-finding problems.
Well, not anymore. Tonight, Dyer's Place is being sponsored by the Precious Roy Home Shopping Network. For all the best quality products, including, but not limited to, Lice Monkeys, Civil War Corpses, Miracle Dirt, Pirate Cripplers, Sasquatch Feeders, and Squirrel Zappers, make sure you're shopping on Precious Roy's Home Shopping Network. And now, here's Precious Roy.
This is Precious Roy, and you kids better pay for that lap dance.
Precious. What about the stream?
You guys are suckers.
Precious Roy, making lots of suckers out of girls and boys.
I thought you guys would appreciate hearing that. Maybe.
Hopefully.
Someone's got to appreciate it, because I actually am on it.
Yeah, me too. Might be a little biased, but
I was there too, and we had Precious
I know,
Roy
we all were.
And on top of that, we had the Precious Roy jingle that Prime was just mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Prime mentioned that it's just one of those things that gets stuck in your head, and you did too, Mike. And I was just thinking about that, because I know there have been points where I've been like stopped at a red light, my mind's wandering, and then out of the darkness that is my mind, I will just hear, "This is my United States of whatever," and then I'll immediately think of everything else. That is just I'll think about some of the weird skits, or I'll think about the music, or just I don't know. There's an artistry there with the whole show. Like I I've been watching it more, obviously, to prepare for this, and I just can't get over how unique and interesting and fun each of the puppets are. They could have just had them be simple sock puppets with like Sharpies, but they actually did put a little bit of effort into making each of them like their own thing.
Yeah. There's, I mean, like they don't really have very many guest voices. Like kind of like Homestar. Like 98% of the voices are just Liam and Matt. So like they really do show a really fair, diverse. Like they do occasionally have a few guests. Like apparently one of their mothers was Ollie's mom, as we said. But yeah, no, it's just like sometimes that's how I think about something like holistically. Like something hasn't crossed my mind in a while, but then like something just like triggers a pressure plate that then gets the ball rolling down, and I'm like, oh yeah, no wait, this was awesome, and I am like really glad that we have rediscovered Sifl and Olly, and like I'm just kind of like under the impression of mission statement that God, we really do need another show like this. Like I have very, very few criticisms with it. Like off the top of my head, the only actual negative thing I could think of to say is that I think in a couple of episodes there are a couple of quick bits that are not friendly to the trans community, which, unfortunately for the time that was seen as a more acceptable thing to riff off of. Not that it necessarily excuses it, but, it was just, quote-unquote, fair for its day. But I can't even really be mad at SNO for that, because, like, that's really the only fault I can think of, if there is any. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Now, there is a dedicated fan base for Sifl and Olly.
I sure hope so.
They call themselves sockheads.
Really now? Really?
Yes, I've heard of this before.
And
it's excellent.
they used to have a website that had transcriptions of every episode.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
That might be up on Archive or way back if you know the actual URL for it.
That'd be great.
It's certainly possible, but if it is, I need to copy all that stuff because it's good to have all the stuff there if you need it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there has never been any official media re-release for Sifl and Olly, has there?
Yes, I think the first two seasons did get an Amazon release or maybe a DVD release, but they had to remove a lot of like the covers and some other stuff. So there's a lot of repeated skits, as I understand it.
Yeah, it was definitely streaming on Amazon Prime. I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but it was.
I think you can buy it on YouTube too. Like when I was searching for Sifl and Olly today, just out of curiosity, I believe it did say that the first season's on there to purchase. Yeah, okay. Sifl and Olly, 2 seasons, 23 episodes, and it says buy. Now again, it's probably like the they did the thing they did on Amazon as well. They for some reason they glued 2 episodes together, and then they had to cut some of the more referential stuff like they ended up doing with Daria. We were mentioning that earlier. That lost a lot of its music, sadly, in re-release.
Yeah. Well, heck, that goes all the way back to WKRP.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it's too bad because I really like that one bit where Big Guy walked in and Johnny was just basically sleeping in his chair while Pink Floyd's Dogs was at the slow part.
Except you could tell he was awake because you could see his eyes move behind the sunglasses when Carlson walked up.
Yeah, he wasn't completely. He's just on low power mode, power saver, if you will.
And when he was. Carlson's trying to read the title of the record, and he reaches for it, and John, don't touch that. What's the name of this orchestra? Pink Floyd. Gripping music, huh? Yeah, you can still view the original unedited one with dogs on YouTube, but on the box set, they swapped that out for something else and called it Pink Floyd.
Dang.
Man, that's a bummer.
Yeah, it is. But to their credit, they were able to keep a lot of the other music.
That's good.
So, but
All the original ones, I would hope.
well, that Pink Floyd song is gone, and there's a couple other ones that are gone. But if you're talking about like original songs, then
Well, I was thinking, I
obviously-
thought you were talking about Sifl and Olly for a second rather than WKRP. Excuse me.
No. So they basically, that came from a time before anyone had ever even considered like home video rights and stuff like that. So that's what happened there. Also, sidebar, I'm still irritated that the new WKRP does not have a proper release.
Yeah, like you have said, that's actually far better than one would think at first.
Yeah, it turns out the ratings were actually pretty good when it was canceled.
Damn, then.
It's because in season 2 they were starting to hit
That
their
happens
stride.
a lot, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that happens a lot with shows. It's just when they're getting their footing, they take the axe to it. Much like Sifl and Olly. Yeah, that's another case, too.
Yeah. I would say that was the case for Star Trek Enterprise, but frankly, it's kind of amazing that even got more than 2 seasons, so...
It got 4, right? I mean, and what's not to love about this indie,
yeah.
Mike? I know that's your favorite thing.
I think the writing was on the wall when they finished season 3, and they just tried to course correct as much as possible with season 4. But we did a Star Trek stream some time ago, so let's move on.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I wonder if I should have this running gag where I always am eager to pounce on Enterprise, like I am, like BioShock Infinite is a very frequent target of mine as far as video games, but I guess we're getting a little bit beyond our scope here. Sorry,
Mike,
about that.
Mike, one other thing.
What's up?
Zindi.
Wait, hang on. Where's the thing? Whoa, what the hell? I don't... Huh. Hey, shit. I can't find the... What
The
happened
original?
to the
Hold on.
soundboard? No, I'm trying to check out the... Yeah, there it is. I can't get the... Wow, what happened? They moved
It's
it to
all the way at
bottom.
the bottom. Yeah.
Well, that's stupid. Well, we found it eventually, so go us.
All right,
I was going to say we need to get Rob. I believe if you have Discord Nitro or whatever, you can actually create your own custom soundboard, and we need to load that up at some point. Get him Discord Nitro.
I don't have
Oh, man,
Nitro.
what can we
Yeah.
fill with that?
All right,
And see
Mo,
you later,
have a good
Mo.
night.
Take care.
Yeah, CMO.
Yeah, Prime said a lot of the people hung out around with Watch Sifl and Olly at the time was spread through word of mouth. I mean, I think that's like the only way it could get its foot in the door. It is a very deliberately cult show, and like it just feels like from the start it was just kind of designated to have a very specific audience, like Homestar Runner. Like this is where the light bulb turns on. It's like that exact type of humor. Well, not that exact type, but it's like Sifl and Olly and Homestar Runner are both in a very Mike Core ballpark. Like I don't know what else I'd even put in there, but like I can see the strings sort of coalescing together, so to speak.
Coming up on the next
So you're
episode
saying you're
of Dyer's Place, Homestar Runner and Sifl and Olly. Is there a connection?
Yeah, I was going to say you got to play the Unsolved Mystery Scene. So you're saying, Mike, that you're a big fan of absurdist, deadpan humor involving non-human characters.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Well, I guess they're supposed to be human, but they're inconsistent about the anatomy because sometimes they have arms and legs and sometimes they don't.
Homestar doesn't, or does he? Film at 11.
Well, he has arms, but they're not arms.
Yeah, they're ostensibly invisible. I do not know how that biology works out, and I don't think we'll ever know.
And his leg can be used as a shotgun.
Yep. Well, to be fair, reality was being torn asunder by a computer virus at that point. But
Hey,
I
Bubs,
guess they're not
can I have my
wrong.
leg back now? Which, you know...
I just wonder what else I'd put in that hole. Like, what else would we say is...
Consider this real quick. You mentioned earlier that Precious Roy made you think of Sonor Card Gauge or Hamsar.
Yeah, walking non sequitur, basically.
I take him just a step further. He's like if Hamsar or Sonor Card Gauge was crossed with Bubs. Because
I could see that.
Bubs being the
true.
businessman. And we know Precious Roy is a businessman, even if he doesn't know what planet he's on.
Yeah. Consummate huckster, kind of, sort of. Yeah, I can see that relation there.
Apple cider. What? Suckers!
Yep.
Tristan gets it.
No, Fravaldo. One of them called now to talk of one of our handsome talking experts. One of them said he'd buy me lunch. I don't see no one taking me to Chick-fil-A.
Escrow, refinancing. I don't know.
And I still love that line, even if Chick-fil-A is known as bigot chicken nowadays. But you know, they weren't thinking that at the time, so why not?
But yeah, speaking of which, in the future we will be doing a stream on Homestar Runner.
In no uncertain terms. Actually, I'm kind of surprised we haven't had one by now.
Well, we've had to work on stuff. But yeah,
that is true. Yes.
So now may be a good time to go into what our next streams are going to be. In 2 weeks, providing everything lines up, we're going to be doing a stream about 80s cartoons.
I'm also on that one.
Yeah, and
I've been doing my Go ahead.
I'll say Prime should be in on that one too.
Yeah, and our friend Jay, Great White North, who just briefly showed up at the beginning of this one, but it should be a real fun time. I was going to consider maybe taking off from that one because I didn't think I'd have a lot to say about it, but y'all like me too much and you weren't having that, so Snarb and I have actually been doing research and slamming down several 80s cartoons, maybe poking to one or two, but some series, like of the series that we've assigned each other, we are also scratching deeper in. I mean, you only have to see a few episodes to more or less get the premises, and you know, they wear what they are on their sleeve, and they're not like these complicated, like really rich rooted plots. And I actually like that right now. I want entertainment that I don't have to like binge a whole season to get what the fuck's going on. So
that said, you seem to like Robotech the most out of any of our choices. And there were a few other shows like that too, like Legend of the Galaxy Rangers, I believe is the name. I started watching that one, and it's very Robotech-esque.
Yeah, Robotech is running on a little bit of a different engine than like Transformers and Gem, to be fair. That one, like, wow, it really, I mean, maybe I revoked my previous statement. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. It's like, in America, the entertainment was very daft but fun, but in Japan, they were really stepping up their game, and Robotech / Macross, I can see why this was such a gateway for anime interest in the late 20th century. It's a very interesting time for animation all around, I think, is what we can only say to start. Even if something was a quote-unquote toy commercial in disguise, they still put their all into it and tried to build the mythology of the universe as best they could, and I really do appreciate the effort they go through.
Also, quick sidebar. Tristan wants to know if we've played any of the Homestar Runner point-and-click adventures.
Yes, I did play the entire set of Strong Bad's Cool Game for Attractive People, and it was a really fun time. And I, if no one else has done that here yet, I hope they're still gettable, because I know that, like, you know, Telltale.
I think they were pulled. I was going to say they got pulled. I'm pretty sure, but I do have them on Steam.
Damn.
Let me check though. Maybe they're actually back again. Sometimes they've brought back some of those games. I thought GOG still had them, actually, interestingly.
I played.
I don't remember how that works anymore.
I played one of the Halloween ones. I know that.
Yes. There's the Halloween hide and seek, which was like Homestar for the most part is like like not dead, but like frozen for the most part. But they still occasionally, like almost every year, I forget if they've really taken a gap year off. A couple they didn't do as much, but for the most part they still do Halloween tunes because it's very fun seeing what all the other characters dress up as, and it's like the Brothers Chaps have thrown themselves into other projects off and on throughout the years, but they will, when you least expect it, unless it's Halloween, Homestar will still occasionally pop up and remind us why it was like the big thing, like the one shining pearl above the 2000s culture muck, which I'm so determined to rant about someday, apparently.
Yeah. Also, looking it up now, the Telltale games are gone, but you can get the Rumiso Triungulate and the other one, Halloween Hide and Seek.
Yeah, that's right. The Rumiso Triangle. Did I say Danger-So? Danger-esque. That was the first episode was actually one of several Flash games on the website, and they did have several of those. Like the fake video games they talked about in that one Speemail became actual, like the Dungeon Man and
Rhino Theater,
Secret Collect, and what have you. Yeah, and the Danger-esque adventure game actually did get more episodes and kind of followed something of a plot, and I will say the best thing ever happens if you try to repeatedly cross the street. I just fucking lost it when what happened. I'm not going to spoil it, but this is in the second Rumisode, I should note. The one on the street, yes, but Jesus, there's so much I can talk about with Homestar. It's not even funny.
We'll get back to that in a minute. I know after we do the 80s cartoon stream, at some point we'll be doing the following. These usually happen every 2 weeks. So, like, in this case, the 80s cartoon stream will be on the 26th. Next one, 2 weeks after that, etc., etc. We do have an Evil Dead stream planned. We have a
one
Mega
of
Man
our
stream.
favorite horror. Yep. One of our favorite horror series ever. B, one of my personal favorite video game series ever. One that Rob's not as enamored with, but I am glad that he'll give me a platform.
Yes. And admittedly, we're probably going to stick to just the 2 original classic series. And
yeah, the classic series is mostly where it is at for me as well. We can maybe talk about the X games, but that series much more definably goes off a cliff. It tries to get more ambitious than the classic series and ends up kind of falling on its face after a certain point. But,
and, then there's stuff like, what was it, ZX? And
yeah, the Mega Man Zero tetralogy and the Mega Man ZX games where it got Metroid-y. I did like the Zero series, and I did like the first ZX. I never got around to the second ZX game, which is where that series effectively ended.
And of course,
Battle Network... Oh, go ahead.
There's also Legends, but would that be too soon, considering what happened with 3?
That is a good... I don't want to say too soon, but it is still kind of a little bit of a bitter point. I remember our friend Sam basically told me to get the fuck over it already, and I was like, no. Actually, the conclusion I came to was that I wouldn't be thirsting so much for a Legends 3 if Legends 2 didn't have the shittiest fucking post-credit sequel hook ever. It's mostly everything hinging on that, and how, like, the character being where he still is has just become a very pathetic joke over the fandom over the years. Like, it was like repost to delay Silk Song before Silk Song, so Snarb gets that one. I'm not sure if Dyer does.
I have no idea what you're talking about. But I do know a thing or two about games being ended on cliffhangers that never get a sequel. Splatterhouse.
Excellent.
That's a good one, too.
That one might actually piss me off more.
Yeah, this is... It's like, don't say... Don't... What's that old phrase? Don't write a check your ass can't cash.
Yes. Now,
that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
A while back, we did a stream on Konami's Famicom imports. I'd like to see us.
Yes.
I'd like to see us take on Konami's 16-bit games. Yeah, Rick Taylor versus the World Crime League. That is
Holy fuck! I was not
nailed
expecting
that
that
one, Prime.
reference. That. Can I do the? Wait, hang on. Where's the? Oh, here it is. Oh fuck. Okay. Yeah, 100. I don't know if that's showing up, but that is so the 100 emoji. I was not expecting that specific Buckaroo Banzai reference there. Wow. We already had our 80s movie stream, didn't we? Or something there such? No, it was...
Yeah. We did 80s time travel movies, and we did our top...
Yeah.
Our top 5 favorite movies. But we could easily delve into some other ones.
There's still a lot of movie talk that I would love to definitely get around to. I mean, damn, what else can we get around to beyond Evil Dead?
I'd like to do a View Askew stream.
Yes, we haven't done that yet. Shit, yes, exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm surprised you guys haven't done a Clerks & Co. stream.
Yeah, I am too.
Well, it's coming. It's definitely in the works.
Yeah.
We also have a ton of streams we'd planned to do originally, but because shit happened, I stopped streaming for a while and they never got done. I got a whole list of them, so we're going to dip back into that well, too. See what else we can pull out. But anyway, that's the current batch of plans for the next streams. But yeah, so 80s cartoons in 2 weeks. Make sure you join us then.
Yay! And I'll actually have shit to say about him. Yay!
Unless something happens which causes it to be postponed.
Yeah, we should always give that caveat. It always sucks, but quote-unquote real life gets in the way a fucking lot, as you probably all know, so nothing's ever solid.
Here's the thing with me. It turns out that falls on my anniversary weekend. It's my 10th anniversary of being married to Betty this year.
That's right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you. And at the same time, my oldest stepdaughter is moving into a new place on that day. So we'll just see what happens.
Damn. That's going to be packed.
Fucking lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we can still do it. But we'll see what happens anyway.
And internet connects get in the way to... Yeah, Rob's connection, I think, for the most part, has thankfully been more solid after... I remember we actually had to cancel a stream due to technical difficulties. I can't remember which one that even was now.
Well, what happened was they replaced and reburied the cable. Which...
That's right.
If you could have seen the state of the cable that had been in here... Thanks, Brian. It had been not only chewed by some kind of outdoors creature, it suffered water damage through that, was spliced together in like 4 places, and was so old they don't even use that color cable anymore.
Oh, wow.
Jesus. That's impressive.
So they rewired the whole thing. Of course,
yeah.
There's also power outages that can happen. Thank you, stupid thunderstorms.
Yeah, storm season is approaching, sadly.
I'll say, if any of you actually like thunderstorms, could you explain to me why? Because I do not fucking get the appeal of worrying about your fucking power blinking out and then you have to just sit around in the darkness like it's the 19th fucking century all over again before the Industrial Revolution happened.
But we liked it back then.
That was a
the Industrial... Oh, you said... Yeah. You said 19th century. I thought you said 20th for a second. I'm like, the Industrial Revolution was in the 1800s, though. But no, I misheard.
No, I mean, I actually had to think about that for... I was going to say 18th century almost, but... Yeah, well, you fucking get what I mean. I don't know, my brain's freaking
Yes.
You just brought up a random memory, Mike.
Oh, what's up?
I remember back when, and this is really going to date it here, on MySpace, they were passed around these surveys about the 90s.
Shit.
But it was like some weird combination of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And it's like, they were basically aimed at women. It was like, did you have a crush on JTT? And it's like, wasn't that kid from Home Improvement?
Oh, yeah, Jonathan. Young Simba.
And I honestly I expected them to start putting this up from the 60s and 50s, too. It's like, do you remember wearing coonskin caps and poodle skirts? So
What? What the fuck?
I expected that to happen. Never did. But I got so sick of doing that stuff. Just seeing these at one point, I made my own quiz about the 90s.
Oh.
I just didn't say what century it took place in.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, in fact, let me see something here. Bet I could pull it up. I'm going to read you all the questions. Let's see. Where would it be?
Where can
Yeah,
it be?
since we ran out of Sifl and Olly stuff to talk about, we're just going off on other stuff now.
Yeah, for as
We're
much
now
as
in the actual. Sorry, you go first.
For as much as I love Sifl and Olly, there's admittedly not as much airtime and like media expansion to fill out a full 3 hours like we normally do. So I expected this one would run a little shorter as a result, which I have absolutely no problems with. I think we said what we need to, and we basically said Sifl and Olly is hilarious. Go watch it if you haven't yet.
And on top of that, it's like YouTube's not very fond of fair use. So we
No, they don't believe in it at all.
Yeah.
No.
Let's see. Where is
Net neutrality is fucking dead, kids.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we're at the point where we're actually acting out an episode of Sifl and Olly because we're just kind of noodling and just kind of having casual conversations. And that's a big part of the show, by the way. They just have these weird conversations that sound so natural. Again, they'll be talking about like shaved tigers. They went to go see the shaved tigers, but they had been replaced by another set of shaved tigers.
Exactly.
Actually, that is a Sifl and Olly question. Like, how much of a script did that series have, and how much of it was just improvised, just Liam and Matt shooting the shit and just, seeing what came of that?
I'm thinking it was half and half.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's clearly bits that are scripted that would require at least some foreknowledge of what you're going to be doing and looking at. But other bits are clearly just them being off the cuff, and then like I think anything before like the interview segment might be actually just completely improv because they'll say something really weird and nonsensical.
That sounds right.
Okay, I found it. Here we go.
Yes.
And let's skip ahead. Okay, yeah, I'm reading this stuff here. It's supposedly called the 90s, and the questions are like, did you listen to New Kids on the Block? Did you ever own a slap bracelet? Babysitter's Club or Sweet Valley High?
You remember Lunchables, dudes?
Who was Alf?
No, Dunkaroos.
That was the fucking thing. You're right.
Step by Step or Full House?
Oh, Jesus. Fuck off.
Mr. Rogers or Reading Rainbow? This was my answer to that one. Attention, stupids. Mr. Rogers and Reading Rainbow were not from the 90s. Maybe you watched them in the 90s, but they were absolutely positively 100% not from the 90s. They're both older than any 90 kids taking this quiz right now. I can guarantee that. And remember Legends of the Hidden Temple? No. Next. Did you watch Saved by the Bell?
That show scared the hell out of me.
Oh, here we go.
I watched Legends of the Hidden Temple all the time. Supposedly, the kids weren't fed very well during the segments, hence why they kind of just started flagging towards the end. And the producers or the people working on the show were doing coke. So a very interesting combo.
Okay.
Did you watch Saved by the Bell? Only when I was drunk.
That's got to be a fun time.
Did you watch Miami Vice? This is a 90s show, too? This quiz is so stupid. All right.
Tristan said, my brother just told me he asked ChatGPT to write a script, and he said it's absurd how well it... Ooh, geez, that doesn't sound good. AI is going to ruin culture if it keeps on going the way it is. There, I said it.
So, what did we learn here today? When Rob gets bored, he fills out crappy surveys.
Yeah, that's good.
So, all right. Here is my 90s quiz. Ready? Did you listen to Ragtime? Tess of D'Urbervilles or Uncle Vanya? Did you
Holy
use
shit!
Did you use aniline dye to color your clothes? Did you have a crush on Adelina Patti, Bob Fitzsimmons, or Gentleman Jim Corbett? Did you own a penny farthing? Kinetograph or kinetoscope? The Time Machine or War of the Worlds? Did you get to watch the accession of Tsar Nicholas II of Russia? Did you hope that Charles Stewart Parnell would end up with Kitty O'Shea? Ben's Velo or Duria Motor Wagon? Dracula or the Island of Dr. Moreau? Or however you pronounce that. Radioactivity or X-rays? Pass this along to everyone you know. And
I'm going to say something. That reminds me of this bit from the first Leisure Suit Larry, where if you put in, like, said you were, like, much, much older so you could get past the quiz at the start, it would start asking you questions exactly like that. Like, really weird stuff that no kid, because it would be a kid trying to pretend they're older than they are, and then obviously they'd get quizzed on, like, World War One or something like that.
Love in the time of cholera.
Yeah. Yeah, what's funny is that I'd originally posed this over my old board. So Mike and our friend Cosmo actually jumped in on this. I actually have their responses. Mike said, I'll answer the survey later after I'm finished growing out a handlebar stash. My response to that was, so tell me, just how do you operate the telegramophone whilst wearing gentlemen's sports gloves?
That is, once again, a Homestar reference.
And then Cosmo said, sorry to interrupt, kind sirs, but did you hear of the news from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina? Seems the boys have made themselves a flying machine. My response, by Jove, are you serious? A flying machine, indeed.
Foo-for-all and Hootenanny.
And then Cosmo went on to say, I am sure it will never be more than a sideshow attraction, though. That infernal contraption will never amount to anything of use. Here comes Mike. Bah and humbug, a flying claptrap, balderdash. It is utterly unrealistic. I am worlds more interested in Mr. Ford's mechanism. Now, what was it referred to in Automobilia or something of the sort? And I concluded with, I much prefer the Duria motor wagon. Mark my words, those will be around for at least a century.
We definitely had fun with that.
Yes, we did. Oh, yeah, those MySpace. Yeah. So
they were the fucking, and I really hate to bring this up, but they were the fucking goddamn fucking member berries from that one South Park thing years before that fucking happened. Yeah. This is way after Rob and I give a shit about South Park. I don't know how that got in my cultural lexicon, but that's the best thing I can think of.
The movie is about the last good thing I saw.
Wow, you go that far back?
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. I'm not disputing that. It's just I was on board for the show until like season 8, then it kind of started to wonk off for me. We are not going to have a South Park roundtable, so no. Sorry.
And Tristan, you actually saw New Kids on the Block last year?
Is that with Marky Mark? That's. I want to know if Marky Mark himself was there. I'm always going to call him Marky Mark because I know that pisses him off and I fucking hate him, so that's my excuse.
So you're going to play a trick on him, he's going to fucking hate it?
What the fuck are you talking about? At any rate, the best song they ever did is The White Stuff, which is a Weird Al song, but that's what I'm going with.
And Tristan, what you should have asked them was what happened to their Nintendo game.
Oh, yeah. Wait, I think Tristan's yanking us at this point. Like, I just realized I think that's a...
Oh, he said that Jazzy Jeff and Paul Abdul opened. And...
Is this real? I'm confused now. I'm sorry. Again, my brain's running out of fuel.
Hey, don't forget the last concert our mutual friend...
Devil he's not. He's not.
Yeah, I'm looking at Wikipedia as we speak, and yes, they did in fact open on last year, June 2024. They even had went through what was it, February 2025? So yeah.
Oh. I stand corrected. I am an idiot. I'm sorry.
And Marky Mark is no longer a member. It's just his brother Donnie.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. I think so. Okay. If they're in Vegas, that makes more sense now.
But consider this, Mike.
I feel dumb for thinking that was dumb. I'm very sorry.
Consider this. Do you recall who
What's up?
Devilman's the last concert he ever saw before his hearing started to go? Knowing him, what would you think?
I do not know.
I mean, if I didn't know
something Rob Zombie related.
Exactly. If I didn't know him as well as I do, I would say either Rob Zombie or Clutch or something like that. No, the last concert he ever saw before his hearing started to go was Celine Dion.
Wow, I do not fucking remember that. Holy shit.
Well, he did it because his wife wanted to go. He would rather.
I think I remember this. I was going to say, I remember him not being totally happy about that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. He would have rather it ended on Clutch.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever saw them live. Right. But, yeah.
I apologize for being dismissive about New Kids. Honestly, if Marky Mark's not involved with them anymore, I actually think that's an improvement. So
I just remembered
that's
something.
Rad.
I just remembered something.
What's up?
When I was working at the casino I worked at, they came and played there one night.
Oh, wow, really?
So I had all these, like, divorced middle-aged women coming in and wanting to know where the New Kid show was. But here's the thing. See, I was in a position where I could easily direct them to the theater. And if they asked me where the New Kids were playing, I'd be like, hey, just go down here, box office right there, theater right there. Okay. And then I'd have people who, this woman come up to me and they'd be like, yeah, where's the show tonight? I was like, oh, the Extreme Death Metal Competition. That's right down there. Box office to your left, theaters to your right. Most of them laughed. They're just like, very funny. Where are they? Really? No, seriously, the New Kids are actually, that's where they're playing. Except for one woman. I told her, and she was just like, no, don't joke about this. This is the New Kids. It's serious. I'm like,
Jesus.
It really is right down there, okay? Sorry. I got to hear a lot from some of those women that night.
Yeah, I think I gotcha. Anyway, Tristan has informed me that Marky Mark was never involved with New Kids in the first place, so
yeah, wasn't.
I obviously don't remember shit after all, and I feel like a huge idiot.
Well, I remember the Sega CD Make Your Own Video, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
It was the Funky Bunch. That was it. That's right. That was his fucking bullshit thing that he had going.
Who came up with those Sega CD music things anyway? Crisscross and I think
CNC Music Factory,
and
yeah.
NXS, I think was
maybe the license had to have been cheap for some of those. Like I guess they were just going out because like that would have been 94, 95 for some of those, and that was well past their prime in some cases.
No, that would have been earlier because I think all those came packaged in the original cardboard boxes.
Oh dear Lord, yeah, that would have been okay. So. That's a good question and how that came to be.
Marky Mark was involved at like the flashpoint of New Kids. I'll be damned.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess I was accidentally right, but I still don't feel like it deserved a medal for it. I'm sorry, my brain's just kind of going. Maurice NKLBB's original manager, Maurice Starr, was part of Johnson crew who made Pac Jam. Oh, do I remember that? Oh, that sounds familiar. Do you remember Pac Jam at all, Rob?
I do not.
Okay.
Prime, you got to link us to that. Huh. Blockhead. I always used to call all the girls in my high school that were fans blockheads.
Hang on. Lady Gaga opened for New Kids? Wow, how early in this career in Lady Gaga's career was this? That is crazy. Holy shit.
2008, and as I recall, she was just starting to pick up steam around that time.
Yeah, that would be a nice transition point. I'm trying to remember when she had that Simpsons episode that everybody hates.
Let's not discuss that.
Not the worst Simpsons episode I've ever seen, if you can believe it.
Oh, I can believe it, but
I think I could.
Everything about that episode was bad, pretty much except for her.
Yeah, she's actually a pretty legit actress. She actually did bring an actual joy to vivre to it. It's just, I do not give a shit about your problems, Lisa. Shut up already.
Yeah.
That's kind of my...
shut up, Leslie situation is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Shut up,
do not
Leslie.
ask me what the worst episode was. You're going to be very depressed if I actually say it. I'm not going to. I refuse.
Who is, me or Snarb?
Either of you. Do not ask.
I know what episode it is, just because, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Snarb would agree with me.
What is it?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you after the stream, Rob. I'm serious. I really
probably
don't
best to keep it off stream.
Really? That controversial,
Yeah.
huh?
Yes.
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
It's not. Nah. Just remember something, though. No,
What's up?
Poochie died on his way back to his home planet.
Good news, kids! Poochie's dead!
Yay!
And his certificate says he's never going to come back ever!
Oh,
Hey,
boy.
I just got my own place with two sexy ladies.
Oh, well, goodbye, Roy.
Roy. I mean, we already had our Simpsons stream. We could maybe have another. I think we only got like season 5 or 6 with Fatal, but
we need to be more prepared for that.
I'm
next
sorry.
time.
But yeah, that was around the point before she was famous. Then that's still pretty rad, though, I guess. And it seems that Prime has found the. No, I do not remember the Pac Jam. This does not look familiar, but this definitely happened. It kind of reminds me of the Bat Dance for what everything that implies.
Wow, Bat Dance.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I was never a fan of the New Kids on the Block. That was stuff my sister listened to, and I was more into Metallica and Megadeth and whatnot at the time.
I'm going to say this. I'm not sure if I'd say I'm a huge New Kids fan either, but I could maybe be persuaded to listen to more of them. I would give them more of a chance than I would Motley Crue. There's my arbitrary shot of the night.
So, if I had to make the same choice, it'd be like, so you're threatening me with either hanging or decapitation. Either way, I'm dead. I don't like boy bands as a rule, so never have.
Fair. Like, I came to understand their appeal more in retrospect because I'm a huge curmudgeon who just does not understand modern music at all. Like, everything from at least the past 5 years, maybe the last 15 for the most part, has been fucking lost on me. It's just all this, indie lo-fi bullshit that I don't know, it just kind of all melts together for me. And boy bands at least had some distinctive panache to them. Like, do I miss NSYNC? Like, not necessarily, but I can at least identify them for what they did for their time and why they were as popular as they were. And
this is why I keep linking you to new bands and stuff that, I inevitably discover.
Yeah, you're actually more adventurous in that sense than I am. I'm just sticking to my 70s prog ass dad rock white bread bands somehow.
Well, look at some of the bands you've been introduced to by me and Sam. You've had Sabaton.
Yeah.
Birthday Massacre.
Yeah, they're cool.
Mm-hmm. Soft Cult.
Yeah, I definitely have to listen to them more.
Ghost.
I mean, that's like the big exception of like, bands nowadays that just kind of roll off me. Ghost is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. Since we're talking about this, didn't I introduce you to some new bands too, Mike? Like Grim Salvo and a couple others?
That's right. I did really like that album from theirs that you gave me.
You got it.
I am.
Sometimes you got to dig deep.
Yeah, I know. They say that. I don't know. I think going back into the 90s has made me nostalgic for it, and
Nothing wrong with a
I
little
think I'm
nostalgia.
having one of those phases. A little, sure, not. Just don't overdose it.
Oh, I could.
At any rate, Tris.
I was going to say, I put together an entire playlist based on what they refer to as grunge.
Yeah.
And we're talking with
No,
hundreds of
that's fine.
songs on there, basically.
Not just the big four either. Or
Oh,
five,
no, I
four,
was
five.
I was doing some extra digging. Yeah.
You
A little
like,
more, more well-known, but not quite as much, especially since a lot of these bands haven't been heard of since that time. Stuff like, Mudhoney, Screaming Trees,
Yeah,
Grunt
yes.
Truck.
Yeah. Does Crowbar count? Or
No, they're more metal.
Gotcha. At any rate, Tristan, I feel like I've been unkind to New Kids, and I very much apologize. I obviously don't know as much about them, but I'm tempted to look more into them since you've said good about them. I mean, one of my favorite bands lately is one that would probably be written off by most people as just kind of a passing 90s act. That's Local H, which I just really fucking fell in with them lately, and I actually, first time I've been to a concert in 16 years, I actually fucking went to see them last year, and they were goddamn phenomenal. I'm surprised Scott Lucas still has that much power in him. It's incredible. Yeah. So, yeah, they're just some bands that don't get nearly enough respect, is I think what I'm saying. And, if I might throw a bit of cheap pop towards Rob's way, if we didn't favor bands that don't have as much of public opinion as others do, music may as well just begin and end with the fucking Beatles, like some people are convinced actually happened.
Yeah. Now, I make no apologies for my dislike of boy bands and New Kids on the Block, but I'll never tell you that you shouldn't listen to them. If you like them, you like them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's your call, as long as I don't have to listen to it.
Yeah, the only bands I would tell you not to listen to are those that promote actual hateful messages. So otherwise, do as you will. And Sharon, the name Shinedown is familiar, but I don't remember much of what they did.
The only song I can recall by them immediately off the top of my head is a song called Devour. I'm pretty sure it was Shinedown.
Okay. Sounds cool. I just wish I remembered more.
And my youngest
My
stepdaughter's
memory
been
is
into 3
shit,
days.
as a rule.
My youngest stepdaughter's been into 3 Days Grace a lot recently.
That name is also familiar, but I forget what they were biggest for. I know they were big in the 2000s. I will look more into Shinedown your behest then. That sounds like a plan.
And
I was going to ask. Oh, sorry. Go ahead first.
Was that directed at me, Tristan, or Mike, or who?
Yeah,
That's for Mike.
Both of us.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, no, I
Go
kind
for
of. I actually kind of feel legitimately bad now. I'm sorry.
Well, my mind's been made up since I first heard him, so it's going to be very difficult.
Oh, no, he was actually talking to you, Rob. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be damn near impossible to get me to change my mind. After all,
He is the most stubborn bastard I've ever known.
Strangman trait.
All right. I better be frank. All right. Thanks, man. I worry about stepping on every foot possible. I don't know. That's just a really self-conscious thing I have, like the fucking looking glass theory or whatever it's called. I don't know. But I do try to be as open about things as possible. Like, first, like I say, I'm generally not a sports fan, but I did kind of get into football when I was living with a friend a couple of years ago. I'm not into that in so much now, but I could at least understand in that moment why he liked it as much as it did. So,
Well, I kind of got into baseball a little bit when I was living out in Arizona.
I remember you said that. That
Well,
was with Cosmo, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's a big Diamondbacks fan.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks were a good team at one time. I don't know if that's still the case. I don't believe so.
Yep. Hey, nothing wrong with being biased. We're biased as fuck. I'm biased towards music that was from before the 21st century, so it is what it is. Also, Snarb, I feel like I keep talking over. Oh, go ahead.
I would just say I would be happy.
I was just going to... Yes, you go first.
I would be happy if no one ever mentioned the Beatles again.
Yeah, I find the grudge of them very fascinating, I gotta say.
Well, the interesting thing is when it comes to them doing solo stuff, I don't mind so much. Except for John Lennon. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, most of your beef is basically just with Lennon being a huge asshole and Imagine being one of the hugest piles of shit ever made. Like, I think you said something like that.
Yeah, I think I did say something like that once. Sounds like me.
Like, I don't seethingly hate the Beatles, but like I said, music does not begin and end with them. Some people seem to think otherwise, and I'm like, just, come on, just open your mind a little bit more. Like,
yeah.
Like, if you want to extract a confession out of me about, like, what the best band at the time was, I think The Who was the best thing that came out of the British invasion. That's my opinion.
I can't really argue with that.
Yeah. Never been a huge fan of the Rolling Stones either.
They've got some good stuff.
Exile on Main Street's a good album.
Yeah,
Exile on Main Street's a good album. They do have some hits that I like.
Of course,
I just
we know Keith Richards is going to outlive us all.
When I got to that line in WKRP, like, do you remember where that one, like, young guy said to Johnny, like, Keith Richards has to die sometime or whatever? And, like, yeah. I read that, and I'm in a reality where he's still living, and my mind just kind of fell out of my ears. It's just, wow. Just amazing the weird sort of bends that history evolves over as it goes. I don't know. Well, anyway, Snarb, we have not talked about Sifl and Olly for like the past 40 minutes. I'm sorry about the sort of free reign that we've kind of landed into.
We're doing a Sifl and Olly thing.
I was just saying that, but I just don't have a lot to say about music at this moment. I do listen to it from time to time, but I'm more of a video game guy when it comes to media. But I was going to say, you were mentioning future streams. Are there any that are actually like a twinkle in your eye at this point that you've been really wanting to do or set up, Rob?
Well, one of these days we're going to have to do a stream that's devoted entirely to the Indiana Jones movies.
Yes. I was going to say, I'm surprised you haven't done that yet.
Oh, I've been waiting for something special to happen.
Right, yes.
When we were doing only games roundtables, we did do one on Indiana Jones games.
Right. So we won't be talking about
those. One caveat. Since we did that stream, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle has come out, and it is the best indie game ever made, in my opinion. So I would like to discuss that one a bit.
Yeah, I suppose you could do that. That would be okay. We would also bring up. We'd also bring up the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, too.
Of course. I actually need to watch more of that. I've only ever seen the one episode that you recommended to me, which is,
Mystery
of
course,
of the Blues. Say it with us, kids. The one that Harrison Ford was in.
Yes. Rocking his fugitive beard. But keep this in mind, too.
Hey, you're fucking right. He did have that. You're right.
Yeah. Because he, was filming The Fugitive at the time, and Lucas called him and asked him to do him a favor. I think it was the first time he'd done television since the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Okay.
Wow.
That's
amazing.
Not counting stuff like, talk shows and whatnot. But,
yeah, of course.
I do want to address something Tristan said here. There's a couple of artists, I do not like their music, but I have nothing but respect for these people. One would be the late Jimmy Buffett. I cannot stand his boomer ass, escapist ass, whatever the hell else Mike said about him once, music. But,
rich ass, fuck ass. That was what you changed the sweat filter to in your board.
But for what it's worth, he by all accounts, he was a good guy. And heck, he even got Harrison Ford to appear as Indiana
was a nice
Jones
guy
in a movie.
and, a smart businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And the other one is John Denver. I mean, I don't do like that kind of folksy country stuff. But this is one of the guys who went up in front of the Senate when that whole PMRC thing was happening in the 80s and defended a musician's rights to do stuff that other people might not like. So he was up there with like Dee Snider and whoever else is in there. I forget who. So yeah. Marilyn Manson.
Frank Zappa?
I think it was Zappa, yeah. Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Manson is Manson. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah. Yes.
I stick with his early stuff.
Go ahead.
I stick with his early stuff.
Yeah, Hollywood is the last good one he did, in my opinion. Beyond that, both his music and his personality didn't get so great. But yes, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, so...
Anyway.
So I don't disrespect the new kids as people, but I have never, ever been a fan of boy band music of any kind. So...
Again, I kind of miss that. I hate to say that I kind of miss that era because I just can't recognize most music nowadays. But you guys are telling me that I just need to dig a little harder and try and make an effort to actually remember it. So I'm sorry for being a crankshaft. It's just one of these days where I fell into a nostalgia hole, and I just I can't get out, man. I'm kind of flailing.
That's true, Tristan, but to be fair, I actively avoid anything related to New Kids on the Block, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, all that stuff. So, I didn't even know they had new music.
New music on the block. There it is. I mean, it's amazing how many bands are still actually still making new music. Like, I learned recently... I learned that the somewhat flash in the panish rap R&B group Arrested Development was still making albums all the way up to 2021. That was actually pretty surprising.
And yes, I do agree with that too. It's you got to be able to judge it. So
I guess this is the point where I be a butthole and actually. Okay, so that they only actually did one album after I guess this would be the point where I'd be like, what if someone just dismissed Rush because they didn't like Geddy Lee's voice? Which, okay, I guess that's a stupid example because you hear that a lot.
I do. Even from my own way.
Yeah, never mind. What would be a more specific? What if someone would say that? Fuck, what is a good band that I can
I hate Rush because Tristan, I am running the fuck on fumes right now. Like, my attempt to muster up any kind of brain power is just making a lot of fart noises at this point.
Okay,
a
Tristan,
lot of the best
you
rappers
just,
are still putting.
That's it, Tristan. That everything's off.
Yeah. So that is what I heard about Arrested Development. That's right. Fuck. That is crazy. I mean, I just. You never know. Like,
as I'm fond of saying,
where am I even going?
Rush is an acquired taste. Don't like them? Acquire some taste.
Acquire some taste, I know. I've accepted a long time ago that if someone doesn't like Rush for how Getty sounds, that is understandable. He is pretty idiosyncratic. No one at all sounds like him, and I can see how it would be a deal breaker. I mean, I'm not a fan of Robert Plant's high-pitched voice, which sounds kind of hypocritical, but I don't know. I just wish that Zeppelin would have done more songs like No Quarter. That one I fucking love, but the much more like ambitious baby, that sort of stuff, I just not for me.
I did hear Alice in Chains cover both Rush and Led Zeppelin.
That's right. Oh, Tristan's brother loves Rush, and it's a running joke between. Okay, that is totally fair then. Yeah,
Brother's a good man. He's got taste.
Hey! Now you're just being mean, man. But I was gonna say, yeah, I understand. I was gonna say, I understand if someone mostly doesn't look in the Rush because they don't like Getty's voice. But dismissing them for being objectivists is still a hot button with me.
That is the dumbest damn thing.
Come on, people. That was just a passing phase that Neil had.
Yeah.
That he grew to regret. So, yeah, Tristan, my brother is actually, I'd say, even more into music than I am. He has a much more diverse palette than I do. He was into music longer than I was. Like, I didn't really form my own taste until I was 12 or 13 or whatever. He was just taking in all the good stuff right out of the crib. Like, his favorite band is Queen, for the record, which I'd say is a good choice if you had to make a choice on that. But,
well, here, Mike, let me run an example by you. I just thought of one. A late mutual friend of ours actually defended the Metallica album Saint Anger.
That's right.
Despite the fact it sounds like Lars is banging on a tin can in a bathroom throughout the entire album, and James Hetfield lets his vocals go to places they shouldn't.
Yeah. That was definitely an interesting perspective, and I can actually see why, Saint Anger, just for its overall situational position, had something of a following, but I'm going to agree with Todd in the Shadows on this one, which is a great channel you should all check out. His Train Records expose and Saint Anger had a lot of cool stuff to say, but he said something in the degree of he wasn't as interested in the drama behind the music as he was the music itself, and it's when he saw he described James. Yeah, he described James as not the lead singer of Metallica, but he looked in that documentary more like a sort of nerd who writes a fanzine about Metallica instead. And he said that movie never made him more aware of James Hetfield as a person, and he hated it. Which, for some people, that sort of drama is interesting. For me, I am not as much of a prying into personal lives guy. I'm just live and let live. There are some bands who are more famous for their antics than their music, which,
fucking Motley Crue is like my number one example that I refer to as that. And in the video that Todd did for Generation Swine, he said that, like, you know, Motley Crue at some point realized that their story was the most important, the most valuable asset they had, even more so than their actual music. So they were just doing a lot of marketing based off that. And I'm like, these are musicians, right? Like, why do we like them if not for their music? I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit of a flat way to regard that, but yeah. Well, what are we doing if we're not praising them for their musicianship? I don't get it.
We're doing this. What is this? What is this? Oh God, it's poison. Bleh.
Ooh, let me tell you what I want. These guys have practiced their wussy little dance moves, or whatever Butthead said. So this is now the Mike and Rob talk about how much they hate Cock Rock Power Hour. Apparently, Snarb again. I feel like I haven't given you much to say here. I'm just kind of rambling. Again, music. We're doing, or should we end this stream now? Because I realize we've gone so far. I think we do need to end it. I actually am starting to nod off here
I think
a little bit while listening to the dulcet tones of you guys talking about music.
And other shit. Yeah, oh my gosh.
Is this cop rock?
This says
it's very Sifl and Olly, though. That's very true to the show. It's just them kind of just having casual conversations about stuff.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Now you see whenever we do something like this on one of the streams where it comes from.
And thank you for listening to our attempted Sifl and Olly revival. I don't know if we're going to get a C&D from Liam and Matt or whoever holds the damn rights nowadays, but thanks, Tristan.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm glad you liked it. I hope that like the last third of it was not too much of a turnoff because of how subjectless it was. But I'll be sure to check out New Kids in the Block more. I'm not sure if you can get this guy to do it, but I at least have an open mind.
Yeah, well,
it did fit the thing. Thanks, Prime. You're too nice.
Sockheads unite.
Thank you both. Yes. And of course, as always, rock.
Yep.
So,
or
yeah,
as it was once put, rock.
I already said that.
Well, you didn't put the image up because you can't. I did that. Anyway, as always, my books are still on sale. As always, my books are still on sale. If you don't have any copies yet, please get them. And if you just want digital copies, drop me a line. I'll hook you up. It's still going to cost you money, but not anywhere near as much if you were buying the actual books. I got to make something somewhere, you know.
And you know what? Whenever I just realized something. Whenever you do this, you should put up the Jay Sherman cardboard cutout.
Buy my book.
Or just have or you could have Precious Roy say, buy my retro video game books.
Suckers! Oh, thanks, Tristan.
But no, the thing is, he never talks about the actual product. That wouldn't be germane to the show.
That's true.
Well, no, they would be something else. Like it would be like anti-cobras that you let bite you in order to cure a cobra bite.
That's a good one. That's actually, yeah, sounds good. Something as such ridiculous.
I'm in complete agreement with Tristan. My books are amazing.
They are good. Yes.
Definitely. And thank you, Brandon. I also hope that our rambling was at least relatively entertaining, post-show or not.
Let's not forget Mike contributed a boatload of stories to Digital Archaeology, so he's in them too.
Gosh. Thank you. I don't like to fluff my own coat that much, but thank you.
Well,
also, since Snarb mentioned anti-cobras, I'll give you a little preview of our stream 2 weeks from now. Cobra! I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry.
And
Jesus
you referenced G.I. Joe.
I'm going to
shut.
I'm going to shut up forever now.
Okay. I have been teasing Mike about that for like ever since we decided to do the 80s cartoon stream. It's like, hey, remember Cobra? La 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 la.
I should get back at you by referencing Thinner more.
No, please don't. I hate that movie so
I won't. I won't.
Go gadget reference.
Wiener.
Oh yes. Yes, let's go with that. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So hopefully we'll see y'all again in 2 weeks. Hopefully we won't have to postpone it. And
Yep.
join us then, won't you?
Yep. Have a fun, everybody.
Yes. Have a fun.
Boy,
And
boy.
enjoy.